Douluo, at the beginning, I signed with the martial spirit of the god of death. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, A Contra-Level Girl. After missing Xiao Wu every day, Chen Luo began to review what happened during his life. The gains from the Killing City group were still very large. Not only did he complete the system sign-in task, but he also obtained the Killing God domain. The most important thing was meeting Gong's Hongfei, and later he also harvested 2 new undead spirits. The reward for signing into the mission is the Boots of Death. The speed bonus is very terrifying. It not only gives you more opportunities to save your life, but also greatly improves your combat effectiveness. When your speed reaches the extreme, the more things you can do. Needless to say, there is no need to say more about the God of Killing domain. In the God of Killing domain, I can exert my absolute, % strength and also weaken the enemy's combat effectiveness. Moreover, I heard from Guangzhonggang that the Killing God domain can allow the undead to enjoy the same bonus. This is undoubtedly an extremely powerful amplification skill. Guangzhongfei, a being who also possesses the realm of the God of Death, is also a strong man at the level of title Douluo. His martial soul is a demon-slaying sword, and he's extremely powerful. Chen Luo could not see through Guangzhongfei's inner thoughts, but for now, it seemed that Guangzhongfei would not have any murderous intention towards him. If he really wanted to take action, it is estimated that Guangzhongfei would have taken action long ago. Even if he did not kill, he would probably take other measures, but Guangzhongfei did not take any action. Maybe Guangzhongfei really wants to pursue eternal life, or maybe this elder brother really cares about his younger brother. No matter what the reason is, it is a good thing for Chen Luo. The 2 newly harvested undead souls are relatively powerful. One is Soul Saint and the other is Soul Douluo. Chen Luo did not expect that the quality of his undead team would improve so much at once. This must be thanked to Gong Zhongfly. After briefly reviewing what he had gained during this period, Chen Luo immediately thought of Douluo's current time progress. The Shrek 7 monsters should still be consolidating their strength in the academy. In a few months, it will be the Senior Soul Master Elite competition, and they will soon enter a small climax of Douluo. It's a pity that I am too strong and cannot fully participate. The Senior Soul Master Elite competition will last for a period of time. If the original plot is followed, Xiao Wu's identity will be exposed after the finals. There should be no need to worry about this matter now. The Ring of Death is much stronger than the Heartbroken Red. Even if Bibi Dong and the others stand in front of Xiao Wu, they can't tell Xiao Wu's identity. Before that, he should have gone back, and then he would go directly to Wuhan City with Shrek's team. While serving as a substitute, he could witness the Shrek 7 Devils win the championship and protect Xiao Wu at the same time. When I go back, my strength should be able to increase a bit. There are also Guangzhongfei at the title Douluo level, Yu Yao at the Soul Douluo level, 2 Soul Saints Guangzhonggang and Wai Liang Hao, and the 3-year-old Soul Beast Hell Demon Spider. Nightmare Centipede and Earth King don't need to be counted, they are already a very strong team. The next morning, Chen Luo and his party set out from the small town and headed straight to the Dark Night Forest. Before that, Guangzhonggang handed over the map he drew by himself to Chen Luo. What surprised Chen Luo was that Guangzhonggang's drawing ability was really good. He drew very clearly and marked the route, but he didn't know if it was the right route. Master, I have only been there once, and it was many years ago. As for whether there have been any changes over the years, I don't know. I really tried my best on this map. Guangzhonggang said. Guangzhonggang worked all night long last night to draw the map. As an undead spirit, he was tireless, and he was still full of energy this morning. Chen Luo nodded, you've done a pretty good job. With a map as a guide, Chen Luo and the others no longer have to fly around like headless flies, and can head towards the goal with great clarity. According to the marks on the map, the Evil Soul Master's treasure is near the center of the Dark Night Forest. After Chen Luo and his party entered the Dark Night Forest, they immediately rushed towards the center of the Dark Night Forest. This section of the road did not require a map. The Dark Night Forest is located in an extremely huge pit. No one knows how this pit was formed. The environment in the forest is relatively dark. Even walking in it during the day gives people a feeling of night. This is where the name of the Dark Night Forest comes from. The environment of each soul beast forest will be different, and the types of soul beasts living in the forest will also be different. In the dark night forest, most soul beasts live in dark corners. They all appear to be timid, but there are also vicious ones among them. Some spirit beasts hide in the darkness to avoid natural enemies. Some spirit beasts hide in the darkness for hunting. While moving forward, Chen Luo asked Xiao and others to directly release a powerful aura, causing those soul beasts who were prepared to take action without knowing the heights of the world to instantly put away their stupid thoughts and hide in the corner shivering, thus avoiding many dangers trouble. As long as it is a soul beast forest, there will be soul masters hunting in it, some to obtain soul rings, and some to help others obtain soul rings. Soul beasts are the most abundant resource in the soul beast forest, and they support countless teams of soul masters who make a living from them. Along the way, Chen Luo and the others met many soul masters who were hunting. Almost all the soul masters looked at Chen Luo and the others with awe and yearning. Of course, those eyes mainly fell on Guangzhongfei and the others. Chen Luo is still young and has not yet activated his martial spirit. Others do not know Chen Luo's strength. Most of them regard Chen Luo as the young master of a certain big family who has a special team of soul masters to help him hunt soul beasts and obtain soul rings. They see that Chen Luo is when he looked at Chen Luo, his eyes were filled with envy. How could they know that Chen Luo was the backbone of the entire team, and except for Guangzhongfei, who was at the title Douluo level, everyone else was his younger brother. Master, there is a situation ahead. There is a contra-level soul master. Should we slow down and take a detour? Wai Liang Hao came to Chen Luo's side and asked. Although the stone statue Wai Liang Hao is not the strongest, because of his martial spirit, as long as he stands on the ground, he can have extremely strong perception. Even Yu Yao, who is at the contra level, cannot match it. Along the way, Wai Liang Hao was the one who opened the way. He could avoid many troubles with extreme accuracy and always stay on the right path. Chen Luo heard this and was about to speak, but Guangzhongfei got there first. It's just contra, why should we take a detour? Guangzhongfei said calmly. Chen Luo nodded, then keep going and take a look at the excitement. After entering the forest, Chen Luo continued to adhere to the idea of sustainable development and tried not to harm the soul beasts as much as possible, which already made Guangzhongfei a little unhappy. In the eyes of their strong men, the weak are not worth mentioning. If it were not for Chen Luo's persuasion, Guangzhongfei would probably have fought his way straight to the center of the forest. In fact, most of the spirit beasts were too frightened to do anything, they just blocked the way. Chen Luo is not a holy mother. If there is someone who knows how to live or die, he will attack without mercy. After a while, Chen Luo and his party came to a mountain stream. In the mountain stream, a young girl was fighting an ugly turtle-shaped soul beast. The girl is the contra, and the turtle-shaped spirit beast is about 3 years old. There is actually an evil soul master. This aura is really disgusting. As soon as he saw the girl, Guangzhongfei made a sound of disdain. Chapter 102 The evil soul master still exists. The girl has a beautiful appearance and is full of charm. She is wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform. Her hot figure is ready to show off. She looks about 20 years old. There are many black lines on the girl's neck, extending all the way to her chin, which looks extremely strange. The girl's martial spirit is a long black whip, with 8 spirit rings lingering around her body, all of which are the best combination of spirit rings. To have contra-level strength at the age of about 20 is really unbelievable. There's something wrong with her strength. Yu Yao, who is also at the contra level, spoke up at this time, with a hint of doubt on his face. The giant horn-snapping turtle's strength is at most 5,000 years old, and there's not much special about it. A contra soul master can deal with it very easily, but the girl seems to be struggling. Haha, how can you fully display your abilities if you don't rely on your own hard work? Being able to deal with spirit beasts that are about 3 years old is already pretty good. Guangzhongfei said calmly, and then directly revealed the identity of the girl. She is just a rubbish evil soul master. She relied on evil methods to constantly push others to reach this level. Naturally, she will not have real contra strength. Just now Guangzhongfei recognized the girl's identity at a glance, but he was whispering to himself, and no one heard what he said. Now he said it directly, which immediately shocked everyone. The most surprised person was Guangzhonggang, evil soul master? Let me see. Then he saw Guangzhonggang staring at the girl very seriously. After a moment, he nodded in disbelief, It is indeed an evil soul master, but there seems to be something wrong. While Liang Hao was a little confused, hasn't the evil soul master perished long ago? How come there are still evil soul masters? There will always be fish that slip through the net. It would be strange if they were completely destroyed. As long as they don't show their special abilities, they are no different from ordinary soul masters. That is to say, my brother and I know the evil soul master very well and are familiar with the aura of the evil soul master. She is extremely sensitive, so we can see her identity. Guangzhongyang said. Guangzhongfei added, you are an evil soul master yourself. Guangzhongyang. Chen Luo then spoke slowly, that weak soul beast seems to be at a disadvantage, should we help it? Master, you have the final say. Guangzhongyang immediately smiled evilly. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao were also gearing up, and Yu Yao said extremely confidently, Master, I can deal with that kind of superficial guy. Chen Luo did not respond immediately, but looked at Guangzhongfei beside him. Guangzhongfei noticed Chen Luo's gaze and said calmly, I do hate evil soul masters, but it has been decades, and I no longer hate evil so much. The main reason is that Guangzhongyang is also an evil soul master. Every time he kills an evil soul master, I will have more thoughts about killing Guangzhongyang. Guangzhongyang. Chen Luo waved his hand gently, then come on. Even if she is not the evil soul master, she is definitely related to the evil soul master. Just catch her and ask her. Maybe she also knows the evil soul master's treasure. Chen Luo didn't have much feelings about the identity of the evil soul master. He was not that righteous and could not bear to see the so-called evil existence. He simply couldn't bear to see a Contra-level soul master bullying a 3-year-old soul beast, and that Contra obviously couldn't use the soul beast's soul ring. Secondly, I just want to catch her and ask her about the evil soul master's treasure. Chen Luo didn't believe that there were such coincidences in the world. As soon as he came to the Dark Night Forest, he met the evil soul master, who most likely came for the treasure. Or is she the keeper of the treasure? At Chen Luo's signal, Yu Yao and the others took action immediately. Almost instantly, they all activated their martial spirits. Whether it is Yu Yao or Wei Liang Hao, these two newly added dead soul masters are the best soul ring combinations. In fact, as long as you have a certain level of strength, your soul ring will not be any worse. Only by laying a good foundation can you achieve better development. After Yu Yao activated his martial spirit, he immediately took on a wolf-like appearance, and his body instantly became extremely strong, almost doubling in size. Without the soul power restrictions of the Killing City, this Contra-level soul master is still extremely powerful. Just activating his martial soul releases extremely terrifying pressure. On the other side, after Wei Liang Hao activated his martial spirit, a layer of stone armor was attached to his body, which seemed indestructible, and his strength seemed to have increased a lot, but at the cost of slowing down a lot, but it didn't bother him. Needless to say about Guangzhongyang, the black longsword appeared in Guangzhongyang's hand, and his whole temperament was instantly sublimated. He, after activating the martial spirit, was completely different from the person before activating the martial spirit. Completely lost his cheerful look, and looked like a master of swordsmanship. The appearance of Yu Yao and the others instantly attracted the Contra girl's attention. It has to be said that this Contra girl is really fake, and ordinary Contra's sensing ability is not that bad. Chen Luo and the others have been here for so long, but they didn't notice it until Yu Yao and the others activated the burst of martial spirit. Who are you? The girl found out that Yu Yao and the others were coming with bad intentions. She immediately distanced herself from the giant horn-snapping turtle and asked Yu Yao and the others in a deep voice their identities. What was a bit surprising was that the girl's voice was extremely inconsistent with her appearance. It was so hoarse that it could be described as unpleasant, sounding like the voice of an elderly woman. The one who caught you. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao wanted to take action directly, but Guangzhongyang suddenly started interacting with the girl. It seems that as soon as Guangzhongyang opens his mouth, his temperament will instantly collapse. You and I have no grievances, why do you want to arrest me? The girl frowned, looking wary. Do I need a reason to arrest you? Does being an evil soul master count as a reason? Guangzhongyang said calmly. The girl looked surprised. Evil soul master? I've never heard of it. Are you mistaken? Guangzhongyang sneered, stop pretending. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao glanced at Guangzhongyang with some doubts, but acted directly without waiting any longer. Why do you talk so much nonsense when you can actually do something? No matter what her identity is, just catch her. Martial Soul Real Body. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao directly activated their respective martial souls. Yu Yao transformed into a wolf giant over 3 meters tall, while Wei Liang Hao transformed into a stone statue over 5 meters tall. Wei Liang Hao knew that his speed was his biggest flaw. After activating his martial soul true form, the 6th soul ring on his body suddenly lit up, and stone walls continued to rise, directly surrounding him, the others, and the girl. Yu Yao rushed directly towards the girl, wanting to capture her immediately. The girl's face suddenly turned ugly. Both of them had activated their martial soul true bodies. She was forced to have no choice but to also activate their martial soul's true bodies. Countless black lights poured into the black whip in the girl's hand, and the girl's aura instantly increased a lot. Combat is imminent. Chapter 103 Du and Xiao. Seeing that both Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao were taking action, Guangzhongyang naturally did not stand still. He also activated his martial spirit true form, and the black sword in his hand became extremely huge, and then he walked with his sword, rushed into the battlefield. The girl's situation was extremely pessimistic. The escape route was blocked at the beginning of the battle, and she was attacked by 3 enemies. A look of determination appeared on her face, but of course she was more confused. Yu Yao rushed towards the girl very fast, but the girl's black whip swung even faster. The black whip was at least 5 meters long and of ordinary thickness. Under the girl's wave, a huge black whip appeared out of thin air and whipped towards Yu Yao. When normal people encounter this kind of situation, they will usually dodge the attack first, and then look for opportunities to attack again. But Yu Yao smiled ferociously, letting the huge black whip phantom hide him, and rushed towards the girl without slowing down. I saw the shadow of the huge black whip falling, and an extremely terrifying wound suddenly appeared on Yu Yao's body. A deep mark spread from his shoulder to his thigh, and the bones were visible. This was already a serious injury, but Yu Yao seemed not to be affected by the wound at all, and the smile on his face remained unchanged. In the blink of an eye, Yu Yao arrived in front of the girl under the suspicious gaze of the girl. His huge wolf claws suddenly grasped forward, grabbed the girl's neck, and directly lifted the girl up. In just one face-to-face encounter, the girl was captured. The disparity in strength was so great that neither Wei Liang Hao nor Guangzhongyang had time to make a real move. After grabbing the girl's neck, Yu Yao immediately ended the martial soul's true form, but he was already tall, so he grabbed the girl's neck and still made her get off the ground. On the girl's neck, there were still blood marks left by the wolf's claws. Just now, as long as Yu Yao held it hard, the girl's head would be cut off by the sharp wolf claws in an instant. Of course, if Yu Yao wanted to, he could directly cut off the girl's neck now. The girl also has contra-level strength, but the difference in strength between her and Yu Yao is too big. At this time, she had completely lost the ability to resist. Even if she made any rash move, Yu Yao would end the girl's life without hesitation. The master just asked him to catch the girl, but he didn't tell her whether she would live or die. Anyway, the master has the ability to resurrect, so asking the dead may be more reliable than asking the living. I'll go, Lao Yu, your speed is too fast, I didn't even have time to show off properly. After Yu Yao took control of the girl, both Guangzhongyang and Wei Liang Hao immediately ended their martial soul avatar state and came closer. Guangzhongyang had an angry smile on his face, stared at the girl in Yu Yao's hand and said, "How about you let me control her? It's up to you, as long as you have the ability," Yu Yao said calmly. Guangzhongyang immediately waved his hands with a smile. "Forget it, even if this girl is a fake soul Douluo, she is not something that I, the soul saint, can easily handle. If there's an accident and she runs away, I estimate that the master will directly destroy me. It's okay, your brother is here." Wei Liang Hao smiled. "Guangzhongyang, actually, I'm not afraid of what my master will do to me. I'm just afraid that my brother will be stupid." "Then stop talking so much nonsense." Yu Yao carried the girl and ran towards Chen Luo. Seeing this, Guangzhongyang and Wei Liang Hao followed immediately. "Master, the task has been completed." Yu Yao lifted the girl in front of Chen Luo, his big hand holding the girl's neck steadily. The girl glanced at Chen Luo blankly, and immediately realized that Chen Luo was the mastermind, and her eyes were filled with resentment. Roar! The giant horn-snapping turtle, which had always had no sense of existence, suddenly let out a roar at this time, seeming to tell everyone of its existence. Guangzhonggyang frowned slightly, waved his big hand, and the black long sword flew out directly, becoming extremely huge again, and landed in front of the giant horn-snapping turtle very quickly, frightening the giant horn-snapping turtle. "Little turtle, you are too noisy, get out of here, your mother has asked you to go home for dinner." Guangzhonggyang turned around and glanced at the giant horn-snapping turtle indifferently. "Do you think our strength is the same as that of the fake Contra? Be careful, I will kill you and roast you. Be quiet," Guangzhongfei said calmly. Guangzhonggyang immediately shut up and withdrew his long black sword, and the giant horn-snapping turtle fled into the mountain stream. "Tell me, where are you from?" Chen Luo looked at the girl calmly and asked. "It doesn't matter if you don't tell me, then I'll just kill you and then ask you again." When the girl heard this, she immediately said angrily, "You are the evil soul master. Sure enough, you know something about evil soul masters." Chen Luo smiled calmly. The girl stared at Chen Luo angrily for a moment, then her eyes inadvertently fell on Guangzhongfei beside Chen Luo, and she instantly became much more honest. "I'm really not an evil soul master," the girl said helplessly. Because her neck was strangled, the girl's voice became even more unpleasant, and it was very difficult to speak. "Let her go." Guangzhongfei seemed to hate this voice. He had just said not to interfere, but he actually spoke. When Yu Yao heard this, he did not act immediately. Instead, he looked at Chen Luo. He only listened to Chen Luo's orders. Chen Luo nodded. "Senior Guangzhongfei has spoken, she can't run away." Yu Yao nodded slightly and then released the girl's hand. The girl was about to escape as soon as she was freed from the restraints, but the next second she was enveloped in a stream of blood, followed by Guangzhongfei's voice. "You can run. When the blood is completely integrated into your body, you will explode and die." The girl looked at Guangzhongfei with some fear, and then looked at Chen Luo with even more resentment. She wanted to kill the person in front of her directly, but she knew very well that the next second she did it, she would become a corpse. The Soul Douluo and the two Soul Saints standing next to him may not be able to stop anything, but the title Douluo is definitely powerful. After struggling internally for a few seconds, the girl finally gave in. "My name is Duan Xiao. I am really not an evil soul master. It was just because of an accident that I was lucky enough to get some evil soul masters things. It was also because of those things that I learned about evil soul masters." There is no need for Chen Luo to ask, the girl will explain herself. "I came here mainly to find some more evil soul master treasures, but I was unlucky enough to be stopped by that giant horn-snapping turtle. Because of those evil soul masters treasures, I was able to reach the Soul Douluo level. I was once just a soul emperor, and after decades of hard work, I was still just a soul emperor. It was precisely because of those treasures that I was able to break through. And his strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and his physical appearance has returned to what he looked like when he was young. I can vaguely sense the existence of those things. I can take you there and hand over my treasures to you. I just ask that you spare my life. I know I have no chance to negotiate, but I still want to give it a try. I can leave my body to you and do whatever you want." As he said that, Duan Xiaoyu smiled coquettishly. "At your age, you should be in great need of women." Chapter 104 A Few Tricks. "You old woman, you still want to seduce my master with your beauty? Are you worthy?" As soon as Duan Xiaoyu finished speaking, Guangzhonggyang on the side couldn't help it anymore and frowned and said angrily. Chen Luo waved his hand slightly, signaling Guangzhonggyang to calm down, and then looked at Duan Xiaoyu with a faint smile. "Stop saying those useless words, it will only make me sick. You should know the true value of your existence. Hurry up and lead the way." Duan Xiaoyu looked at Chen Luo in front of him and shuddered. Although Chen Luo had a smile on his face, he was not polite at all in his words. The most important thing was that Chen Luo did have the strength to control everything. "You might as well just kill me, since you have the ability to control the dead anyway," Duan Xiaoyu said. "Oh, why are you suddenly not afraid of death?" Chen Luo asked. Duan Xiaoyu already seemed very calm at this time. With an ending that cannot be changed, no matter how much you struggle, there is no point. It is better to let the ending come sooner rather than suffer the torture of waiting for the ending. Hope is indeed beautiful, but it is also deadly. I saw this through many years ago. Chen Luo clapped his hands gently. "Well said. Led the way." Duan Xiaoyu still stared at Chen Luo. "Kill me. You really want to die?" Chen Luo was a little surprised. Duan Xiaoyu revealed his true purpose. I also want to live forever. Chen Luo smiled. Oh, I won't kill you, just lead the way. I can always follow you and give everything, as long as you can give me a chance to live forever. Duan Xiaoyu became excited again. He didn't want to die before, but now he actually wants to die. I don't have that strong ability. Chen Luo said calmly. No, you have. Duan Xiaoyu seemed very sure. I'm not blind. I just saw that they have surpassed the limitations of the world. Not only have they gained powerful power, they cannot be troubled by pain, and they can even gain eternal life. This is exactly what is written on the stone wall. Obviously, Duan Xiaoyu saw the true identities of Gong Zhongyang and the others. When Duan Xiaoyu was caught, her eyes swept over Gong Zhongyang and others from time to time, paying most attention to the wounds on Yu Yao's body. Seeing that Yu Yao's wounds were gradually healing, she seemed to understand everything. Chen Luo really didn't expect Duan Xiaoyu to be so crazy, but he still didn't directly agree to Duan Xiaoyu's request, lead the way first. It is good. Duan Xiaoyu looked at Gong Zhongfei. Senior, can you lift the restrictions for me? Gong Zhongfei always had an indifferent look on his face. He glanced at Chen Luo and saw Chen Luo nodding, and then he took back the restriction on Duan Xiaoyu. Chen Luo had already activated the Death God's armor and Death God's boots at this time. He would not easily trust anyone except his undead spirit. No matter how nice Duan Xiaoyu said it, Chen Luo always maintained a vigilant heart. He had to be careful of Duan Xiaoyu's sudden attack on him. With death armor and death boots, he could avoid many accidents. Otherwise, just kill her and turn her into an undead, then there won't be so many problems. This thought arose in Chen Luo's mind, but he quickly gave it up. Let's take a look first. If she behaves abnormally, it's not too late to deal with her. The awakening soul Douluo consumes a lot of money. I don't want to waste any more time. Moreover, if she is forced to panic, there is still a risk of self-destruction or something. It could happen. There is a reason why Chen Luo did not kill Duan Xiaoyu. Simple and crude methods can indeed make people happy and comfortable, but there are some issues that have to be considered. It's rare to catch someone who knows about the evil soul master's treasure. Of course, you have to cherish it carefully. Even if Gong Zhongfei is here, it doesn't mean you are absolutely sure. If others are going to self-destruct, you can't do anything with them. As for Duan Xiaoyu's single-minded desire to die, this is even more unbelievable. Just now he was begging for life, and now he is begging for death. There is definitely a problem. Puff. As soon as the restriction on Duan Xiaoyu was lifted, a bloody sword pierced Duan Xiaoyu's heart. The speed was so fast that even Chen Luo and the others, not to mention Duan Xiaoyu, could not react. The one who took action was naturally Gong Zhongfei. He was the only one who had the strength to do all this. I know what you are worried about. Sometimes thinking too much can affect your correct judgment. Gong Zhongfei's voice sounded, and he had already retracted his bloody sword. He who had promised not to take action was actually the one who finally ended Duan Xiaoyu's life. Duan Xiaoyu's eyes flashed with resentment, but in the end he could only fall down with unwillingness and anger. Resurrection her, but be careful during the resurrection process. The evil soul master has no backup tactics. He has a lot of dirty tricks on the soul. What she just said may be false or true, so you need to pay attention. Zhang Fei stood with his hands behind his back and spoke slowly. Only then did Gong Zhongyan come to his senses, but his attention had already shifted from Duan Xiaoyu's death to what Gong Zhongfei said. The evil soul master's last move? Why have I never heard of it? Because you're stupid. Chen Luo glanced at Gong Zhongfei in surprise. Was this the decisiveness of a titled Douluo? It is true that I was a little suspicious and hesitant just now. No, Duan Xiaoyu used some means to influence his judgment. When he came to Duan Xiaoyu's body, Chen Luo did not revive him immediately. Instead, he put his hand on his head and sensed it with his heart. After noticing nothing unusual, Chen Luo began to wake up. When the Death Reaper submerged Duan Xiaoyu's body, the awakening process was not much different from the past. It was at the last stage of waking up that Chen Luo felt a special force actually attack him. As a result, he didn't need to defend himself, and the death armor directly annihilated him. In less than 1 minute, the awakening ended. Duan Xiaoyu was indeed a facade, not a contra in the true sense. Even the awakening was not very strenuous. Duan Xiaoyu woke up again. The wounds on her body had healed, her eyes were covered with a layer of gray, and a gray aura was vaguely lingering around her body. When he saw Chen Luo again, Duan Xiao had a guilty expression on his face, but he still said, "Master, Duan Xiao is willing to serve you." Chen Luo said calmly, "Led the way." Yes. Duan Xiao didn't say anything nonsense this time. As an undead, she could only carry out Chen Luo's orders. Chen Luo spoke again, "By the way, can you tell me what happened just now?" Duan Xiao looked ashamed. This subordinate is too ignorant to actually try to snatch the master's body. Fortunately, the master saved a trace of my soul for me in advance, otherwise I would be completely a puppet now. Chen Luo, when did you use your soul skills on me? Duan Xiao said honestly, "When you look at the master." Then he added, "Those are not soul skills, they are just some tricks left by the evil soul master. The master is too powerful and has seen through everything. Explain yourself honestly." Chen Luo said. Duan Xiao nodded immediately, "Yes, master." Duan Xiao then began to explain the bad thoughts he had in his mind during his lifetime, as well as the plans he implemented. Chapter 105 Under the Small Lake. My voice was not like this originally. It was because I swallowed a special herb. That herb was also left behind by the evil soul master. Duan Xiao said, "After swallowing the herb, my strength has greatly improved, and my voice has changed. As long as I guide it deliberately, I can influence the other person's mind through my voice. Everyone here is special. There are 3 undead spirits, a titled Douluo, and you, the powerful master. My voice has no effect on the undead and those who are far stronger than me. Even if it is used on you, master, it does not affect your mind, master. It just makes your thoughts slightly confused. Even if it has an effect, but this pitiful effect was of no use, and it did not change my ending and achieve my goal. I can only say that master, you are too powerful." Guangzhonggyang frowned, "Why are you so good at flattering?" Duan Xiao ignored Guangzhonggyang and continued, "I originally planned to rely on this method to ask master to let me go, but unfortunately it failed, so I wanted to save my life as much as possible and use the provocation method. This way, master, you will have more doubts and buy me more time." Of course, what I said at that time was not a lie. There is indeed the ability to speak of eternal life on the stone wall. But that's not actually what I want. If I can live a good life, why should I be a dead person? The reason why I said that is to confuse the public, but unfortunately, I almost succeeded. Senior title Douluo's strength is still too strong. I didn't realize it until the moment I died. It's a pity that everything was too late. I originally thought that if there was really no chance, I would never let you masters kill you easily, because I don't want to be an undead spirit. Even if I explode all the power in my body, I don't want to do anything to you masters. Even if you hurt me, you will destroy my body. Even if you kill me, I can still use this special method left by the evil soul master to seize the body. It's just that you, master, are too strong. I can't even attack your soul, so I will just annihilate it. I did have many plans, but they all failed. Master, I have already explained everything that needs to be explained." Chen Luo nodded gently. He had predicted Duan Xiaoyu's thoughts, which meant that his thoughts were a little confused at that time, which caused him to hesitate for a while and not make the correct judgment. It has to be said that Duan Xiaoyu's special voice is indeed a bit weird. If he didn't have a certain immunity to this aspect, he might really fall for Duan Xiaoyu's tricks. The voice that messes with people's minds is truly extraordinary. The most important thing is that no one will notice it, and it will be done almost silently. At least Gong Zhongfei, who is a titled Douluo, will not notice it. As for Duan Xiaoyu's death and counterattack when Chen Luo woke up, it was indeed a very powerful ability, but it seemed a bit foolish to use it on Chen Luo. Not to mention that Chen Luo himself has an extremely powerful soul. He also wears death armor, which makes him immune to all mental and soul attacks. As Duan Xiaoyu said, Chen Luo had injected some soul into Duan Xiaoyu's corpse during the first half of his awakening. Otherwise, Duan Xiaoyu's suicide like a moth flying into the flame would have completely turned him into a dead spirit. After listening to everything Duan Xiaoyu said, Chen Luo became more and more interested in the evil soul master's treasure. There is no doubt about the power of the evil soul master. Even some treasures left behind can bring huge benefits to people. Thinking of this, Chen Luo looked at Gong Zhonggang. Well, this guy is a fake evil soul master. While explaining everything, Duan Xiaoyu led everyone to the upper reaches of the mountain stream. After explaining everything, they arrived at their destination. They were now in front of a small mountain lake. The small lake was not large in area, but it looked extremely deep. There were dense bushes growing around, and there was no way to get here originally. Duan Xiao used his soul power to forcefully open a way out. The entrance is right here. Duan Xiao introduced, to be precise, this is actually the exit. When I was hunting the soul beast, I was severely injured by the soul beast and fell into the mountain stream. Then I came to a strange place. When I left there, I came to this lake. The entrance can also be the exit, and the exit can be the entrance. I couldn't find my way in anymore because I wasn't conscious at the time and I had arrived when I woke up, but I remembered the way out of there. After saying that, Duan Xiao touched an object similar to a sachet from her waist, and 2 black beads appeared in her hand. This is a waterproof bead, a special soul guide that allows people to breathe underwater. With that said, Duan Xiao handed the waterproof beads in front of Chen Luo. Guangzhonggang immediately warned, have you ever used it before? Duan Xiao shook his head, I haven't used it before. I was planning to use it this time, but it's no longer needed now. The undead no longer need to breathe. Chen Luo took one of them and asked, how to use it? Guangzhonggang immediately said, it must be held directly in his mouth. That's why my subordinate specifically asked this old woman if she had used it before, otherwise she would have spoiled the master. Duan Xiao nodded, yes, just keep it in your mouth. Then, Duan Xiao looked at Guangzhongfei, Senior. I don't need it. Guangzhongfei said calmly. Duan Xiao smiled awkwardly and put away the remaining waterproof beads. The sachet-like item on her waist must be a storage soul guide. Chen Luo said, let's go. Duan Xiao nodded, then jumped into the lake first and swam quickly towards the bottom of the lake. Upon seeing this, Chen Luo and others immediately followed. Chen Luo did not use the water-repelling beads immediately. With his current strength, he could stay underwater for a long time using his soul power. Jumping into the lake, you will be greeted by the cold feeling. The lake water is colder than expected, and can even be described as biting. Chen Luo circulated his soul power and quickly isolated all the discomfort, and immediately followed Duan Xiao. Guangzhonggang, Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao all acted as bodyguards, on the left, right and rear respectively, while Guangzhongfei was at the back. Walking forward on the lake, you can still see clearly at the beginning, but as you go deeper, your vision gradually becomes blurred, and darkness gradually swallows everything. Duan Xiao seems to be able to ignore the darkness, while Chen Luo can rely on his special connection with Duan Xiao to follow Duan Xiao accurately. Guangzhonggang and the others are the same. Guangzhongfei doesn't have to worry. Even if he is not in a special connection, with his powerful strength, he will still not be lost. I don't know how long they have been going, but the small lake seems to be bottomless. Duan Xiao keeps going downstream, and Chen Luo and the others keep following. Until Duan Xiao conveyed a message to Chen Luo. Master, we are here. Before Chen Luo could react, he felt as if he had left the water layer directly. He immediately adjusted his body shape and landed steadily. The surroundings were still swallowed by darkness. Chapter 106 Endless Black Vine. Snapped. A crisp snap of fingers instantly lit up the entire environment. Everything around him was covered in a layer of bloody light. Although it looked a bit weird and terrifying, it was much better than the endless darkness. The one who snapped his fingers was none other than titled Douluo Guangzhongfei. He seemed to hate the dark environment. As soon as he came here, he immediately used his own methods to expel all the darkness. With a bloody light shining on him, everything around him became much clearer. Chen Luo and the others were in front of a passage at this time. There was a large hole above. They could vaguely see the surging lake water, and some unknown fish swimming quickly in the distance. There seems to be a special restriction imposed here, and the lake water cannot flow into it. The passage is very long, and you can't see the end at a glance. There are many special words and pictures carved on the stone walls of the passage. A simple glance can tell that these are introductions to the Evil Soul Master. The most powerful Evil Soul Master can possess part of the power of the God of Death, permanently reviving dead objects, allowing them to gain immortality, no longer be troubled by pain, and gain powerful power. Chen Luo couldn't understand the words on the stone wall, but there was no shortage of translators around him. As soon as Guangzhonggang saw the words on the stone wall, he immediately selected some and read them directly. Master, it seems that this old woman did not lie to you. The abilities you displayed are indeed somewhat similar to the eternal life recorded on this stone wall. Ah. Chen Luo nodded slightly, looking very calm. In fact, he really wanted to say, I am the god of death. Duan Xiao said at this time, everything I know about the evil soul master is from the stone wall. The writing written on it is relatively rare, but I happen to know it. Guangzhongyang said, this type of writing is a moon-shaped writing rarely used in the mainland. I only learned about it after coming into contact with the evil soul master. Chen Luo said, let's lead the way. He was not interested in the evil soul master's past. What really attracted him here was the evil soul master's treasure. Duan Xiao nodded immediately, okay. Duan Xiao continued to lead the way, followed by Chen Luo and others. Guangzhongyang's eyes glanced at the words on the stone wall from time to time, but he didn't say anything else after that. It seemed that there was no need to mention those contents again. They walked along this passage for an unknown amount of time, until the words on the stone wall gradually disappeared, and Chen Luo and the others were able to see the end. There is a relatively wide area ahead, and there is a huge cave in the middle. It seems that the treasure of the evil soul master is hidden under the cave. Duan Xiao stopped at this moment and said with some vigilance, Master, we must be more careful later. As long as you walk out of the passage, a special kind of vine spirit beast will appear. They didn't attack me when I left here, but now the situation seems to be wrong. I can already feel a strong hostility. Guangzhongyang looked very disdainful. A vine soul beast. How powerful can it be? Is it possible that it can also threaten our lives? Oh, I was wrong. We are already dead. Is it possible that we can still threaten the lives of the master and my brother? Quiet. Guangzhongfei, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Guangzhongyang immediately nodded obediently, okay. Guangzhongfei said, I also noticed something is wrong ahead. Chen Luo was a little surprised when he heard this. He had actually sensed the presence underground in front of him, but those creatures didn't seem to be strong. Why could Guangzhongfei, who is a titled Douluo, look wary? Guangzhongfei said, Guangzhongyang is exploring the way. Guangzhongyang. Although he was a little helpless, Guangzhongyang still took steps forward. Guangzhongyang said he didn't take it seriously, but in fact he was more cautious than anyone else. He immediately activated his martial spirit and directly entered the true form of the martial spirit. Is this the first time he has entered the martial spirit true body state? Guangzhongfei was slightly surprised. Will it not be affected in any way? Yu Yao said, Senior, we were surprised at first, but after using it, we found that we were able to avoid all negative effects, and our strength and combat effectiveness were also much higher than before. It's interesting. A smile appeared on Guangzhongfei's scarred face. Ahead, Guangzhongyang has entered the dangerous area. As Duan Xiao said, there were many vine-like soul beasts there. Almost a moment Guangzhongyang entered them, the ground cracked and countless vines rushed out. The vines were black and as thick as an adult's arm. Each vine had many branches, and the tips were covered with sharp spikes, glowing with black light, and seemed to be full of poison. This kind of vine feels like an enhanced version of ghost vine, but its strength is far beyond that of ordinary ghost vines. All black vines are soul beasts that are 10,000 years old or above. One or two is not a big problem, but there are so many that just looking at them makes people's scalp numb. Within a few breaths, the entire area in front was filled with black vines. There were many black long swords lingering around Guangzhongyang, constantly cutting off the black vines. But if one vine was broken, 10 or hundreds of vines would immediately rush toward Guangzhongyang crazily. Before the broken vine fell to the ground, all the nutrients were instantly sucked away by other vines. This kind of battle is really scary. No wonder, as a titled Douluo, Guangzhongfei also frowned. Of course, if Guangzhongfei is willing to take action, the situation will definitely be completely different. At this time, Guangzhongyang was moving towards the underground cave in the center at a turtle-crawling speed. However, after advancing less than 1 meter, he was immediately forced back by a flood of black vines. Fortunately, Guangzhongyang was in the true form of the martial spirit, with a huge black sword under his feet and not on the ground, otherwise the situation would have become even more uncontrollable. The huge black longsword is not only Guangzhongyang's vehicle. Under Guangzhongyang's control, it will release several terrifying sword energy from time to time, cutting off a large area of vines around it, but the result is still of no avail. The number of those black vines is really terrifying. It is precisely because there are so many black vines that they cannot all attack Guangzhongyang. They can only squeeze in one after another. Otherwise, With such a large number of black vines swarming up, Guangzhonggyang will be instantly attacked. Pierced into hedgehog. These black vines do not have the breath of life. They seem to be undead puppets. The number is really exaggerated. Chen Luo thought to himself. Duan Xiaoyu said with lingering fear, fortunately, I was not targeted by them when I left here, otherwise I would have become their nourishment. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao both stood up at this time and expressed their invitation to fight. Master, if Guangzhonggyang is allowed to fight alone, I don't know when he will be defeated. I am willing to go together to get rid of those black vines. And I. Okay, you guys go together. Duan Xiaoyu, you go too. Chen Luo nodded. Although Duan Xiaoyu was a little afraid of the black vines in front of him, he still stepped forward after hearing Chen Luo's order. Chapter 107 It's hidden underground. Yu Yao, Wei Liang Hao and Duan Xiaoyu soon joined the battle. Like Guangzhonggyang, the three of them activated the martial soul true form in advance, and then rushed into the black vines to share the pressure for Guangzhonggyang. Period. However, in fact, the addition of Yu Yao and the others did not have much effect. There seemed to be countless black vines, and they could not be cut down. When Yu Yao and the others entered it, they immediately received the same treatment as Guangzhonggyang. Countless black vines surged wildly. Yu Yao, the strongest, was a little more relaxed, while Wei Liang Hao and Duan Xiaoyu both seemed to be struggling. Yu Yao was in a werewolf state, with a strange dark blue light blooming on his body, which was able to isolate most of the vines, while a small number of vines were directly torn apart by his sharp claws. Yu Yao has a clear goal, which is to meet up with Guangzhonggyang. In fact, he also has the strength to do this. He is slowly approaching Guangzhonggyang. On the other side, Wei Liang Hao has turned into a stone statue in his martial spirit true form. His defense power is astonishing. Even those vines cannot break through his defense. Moreover, Wei Liang Hao's strength is also terrifying and he can easily tear apart. Drop the vines attacking him. And can use attacking soul skills from time to time, such as stone thorns rising from the ground and instantly piercing through most of the black vines. He also tried to seal himself off with a stone wall, but those black vines were everywhere, almost growing directly from him. Although he has effective means to deal with those black vines, Guangzhonggyang's speed is his biggest shortcoming. It is really difficult for him to move, which also makes him more painful. Duan Xiaoyu, who is also at the Contra level, seems to have the strength of Contra after becoming an undead, and seems to feel the changes in his own strength and body. Duan Xiaoyu becomes much more confident, waving his long whip. Huge whip shadows fell down, easily opening a path for her. After a while, Yu Yao and Duan Xiaoyu both met up with Guangzhonggyang. Then they also discovered Wei Liang Hao's embarrassment, and all rushed towards Wei Liang Hao to meet him. It didn't take long for the four of them to gather together. Master, although these black vines are difficult to deal with, they are not impossible to deal with. Even if we cannot get rid of them, we can rely on means to temporarily solve them and go to the cave ahead. After Yu Yao and the four men met, they came to the entrance of the passage to pick up Chen Luo. Of course Guangzhongfei was not part of Yu Yao's plan. Even they could deal with the black vines, let alone Guangzhongfei who was at the title Douluo level. Chen Luo nodded, walked directly into the circle created by Yu Yao and the four others, stood on Guangzhonggyang's black sword, and experienced flying with his sword again. Only this time, he was not flying in the air, but in a sea of black vines. Although these things are not very powerful, they are extremely disgusting. If you can use them for your own use, you can kill soul masters below the soul emperor level. You can also control them for a long time at the soul saint level and soul Douluo level. As for title Douluo, Chen Luo was thinking in his mind and looked at Guangzhongfei who had followed behind him. He smiled helplessly. It doesn't seem to have much effect. I saw an extremely terrifying blood-colored aura lingering around Guangzhongfei. As long as the black vines came close, they would melt instantly. They could not stop Guangzhongfei at all, let alone cause any harm to Guangzhongfei. Guangzhonggyang also noticed his brother's situation at this time, and immediately said angrily, "Obviously we can easily deal with the black vines, but my brother just likes to act cool alone, and there is really nothing we can do with him." Under the cover of Yu Yao and others, Chen Luo arrived at the front of the underground cave smoothly. "Master, you go down first, and we will break up the rear," Guangzhonggyang said. Chen Luo did not act immediately, but silently sensed everything around him. Duan Xiaoyu's voice sounded at this moment. Master, the closer we get to the cave, the more black vines we get. We can't hold it anymore. Both Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao were constantly cutting off the black vines coming forward, and so was Gong Zhonggang. They both seemed to be struggling more and more. As Duan Xiaoyu said, the closer to the cave, the more black vines there are, and the quality seems to be higher. If the black vines near the passage are about 1-year-old soul beasts, then the black vines near the cave are at least there are 2 years. It's such an exaggeration. That is to say, these black vines have a single attack method and do not have skills. Otherwise, Yu Yao and the others would not be able to withstand it. If there are too many ants, they will bite the elephant to death. If they are large enough, they can swallow everything. Guang's Huangfei was not far behind Chen Luo and others, always keeping a certain distance from them. Even though the quality of the black vines here has improved a lot, it still doesn't pose any threat to Gong's Huangfei. Chen Luo, who was silent for a moment, finally spoke slowly under the gaze of Gong Zhonggang and others, but not to Gong Zhonggang and the others. Senior Gong Zhongfei, please take action once. Chen Luo said. Gong Zhongfei seemed to be waiting for Chen Luo's words, and immediately nodded in agreement. Come here yourself. Without any hesitation, Chen Luo immediately activated his martial spirit, and then entered the immortal state. The armor of death and the boots of death also appeared at this time. In almost an instant, Chen Luo was ready for everything. You go in first, I will come with Senior Gong Zhongfei later. Chen Luo said hello to his undead and gave orders at the same time. Even if Gong Zhonggang and the others were worried about Chen Luo's safety, they could only watch Chen Luo's actions. Chen Luo pressed his feet hard, and suddenly rushed towards Gong Zhongfei at an extremely fast speed like a cannonball. He arrived at Gong Zhongfei's side almost in the blink of an eye. Yu Yao and others were stunned. Even Gong Zhongfei was a little surprised. This speed was really too fast, so fast that the black vines didn't even have time to attack Chen Luo. After Chen Luo turned on the black flames around him, he directly created a black flame channel for him. Seeing Chen Luo coming to his side, although Gong Zhongfei was a little unbelievable, he quickly provided Chen Luo with protection. The bloody aura also enveloped Chen Luo, protecting Chen Luo from the attack of those black vines. Where to go? Gong Zhongfei asked. Chen Luo smiled slightly. Senior, you should have sensed it too. It is good. There was no unnecessary nonsense, just a few simple exchanges. Gong Zhongfei immediately agreed with Chen Luo's idea, and took Chen Luo to take action immediately. The bloody long sword appeared in Gong Zhongfei's hand. He raised the sword and cut a path in the sea of black vines. There was also a bloody aura covering both sides of the road. For a moment, those black vines unable to break through. Gong Zhongfei took Chen Luo and landed directly on the ground, and then walked towards the direction of the passage. Yes, they were walking back. After walking for a certain distance, both Chen Luo and Gong Zhonggang stopped. Sorry to trouble you, Senior. Chen Luo said with a smile. Gong Zhonggang nodded slightly, and then stabbed the bloody sword directly into the ground. Suddenly, a terrifying bloody aura burst out from Gong Zhonggang's body, and almost instantly, all the black vines in a large area around him disappeared. Immediately afterwards, a shrill scream came from the ground. The sound lasted for a short time. When it disappeared, it seemed to symbolize the passing of life. Chapter 108 Monster, Hand Demon Vine. Puff. When Gong Zhonggang pulled out the bloody sword, a large piece of the ground instantly cracked, and then a huge vine as thick as a bucket was lifted out of it. The black juice dyed a large area of the ground black, and the surrounding black vines had all withered. This is the culprit. When he saw that those black vines could attack endlessly, Chen Luo had already seen some clues. He had been carefully sensing the location of the person behind the black vines. In the end, his hard work paid off and he found it. The thousand-handed demonic vine is a very special kind of plant monster. It is the masterpiece of the evil soul master. Gong Zhongfei said calmly. It was obvious that Gong Zhonggang had already discovered the existence of the thousand-handed demonic vine, but he had been waiting for Chen Luo to speak. Douluo's sensing power is naturally stronger than that of many people. Even Yu Yao, who is at the contra level, is far behind. Monster. Chen Luo originally thought that the thousand-handed demonic vine in front of him was a spirit beast, but he did not see the spirit ring rising. Gong Zhongfei nodded. Yes, The evil species carefully cultivated by evil soul masters appeared in my time. I originally thought that this thing would have perished with the evil soul masters long ago, but I didn't expect that it still exists. I can confirm that those black vines are dead objects that were resurrected through a special method, mainly controlled by the thousand-handed demonic vine. Chen Luo told what he saw. Guang's Huangfei said, "Yes, your judgment is correct. The purpose of the evil soul master cultivating the thousand-handed demonic vine is to let it control these undead plant-vine soul beasts. Controlled by the thousand-handed demonic vine, these plant soul beasts, the strength can be increased exponentially, and there will be no rigidity of the undead, just like a real living creature. And with the existence of the thousand-handed demonic vine, those plant soul beasts can continuously absorb nutrients and be reborn. This is the most disgusting point. I once saw a contra-level soul master trapped to death by a plant soul beast controlled by the thousand-handed demonic vine. At that time, I was not strong enough to rescue him. Of course, he was responsible for all this." Saying that, Guang's Huangfei suddenly looked at Chen Luo, with an ugly smile on his scarred face. "Are you sure?" "What are you sure about?" Chen Luo asked subconsciously. Guang's Huangfei continued to look at Chen Luo, smiling and saying nothing. Only then did Chen Luo realize what Guang's Huangfei was saying, and immediately smiled and said, "Of course I am sure, otherwise I wouldn't have troubled you, senior, to bring me here. Then get started. Don't let Gong's Hongyang and the others wait too long. If they can't wait any longer, they might come back." Guang's Huangfei said. Before Gong's Hongfei's voice fell, Guang's Hongyang and others really rushed out of the cave. "Master, here we come." They were all ready for a fight, but when they rushed out, they found that all the black vines had withered. They were all a little surprised. Guang's Hongyang pretended to be calm. "I told you earlier, don't worry, you guys. My brother is right next to the master. How could something happen to the master? Look, these are my brother's masterpieces. The master is still good." Duan Xiao curled his lips and said, an afterthought. After saying that, he walked towards Chen Luo. Yu Yao patted Gong's Hongyang on the shoulder. "You were the one who screamed the most fiercely just now." "That's right." Wai Liang Hao nodded. Then, Yu Yao and Wai Liang Hao also walked towards Chen Luo. Gong's Hongyang smiled awkwardly. "Wait for me." Chen Luo never thought that his undead brother would come up again, but Gong's Hongfei predicted it, and he predicted it well. "Don't come around, stand aside," Chen Luo said. "Yes." All the undead stood aside. Chen Luo held the death scythe, and then swung it towards the corpse of the thousand-handed demon vine in front of him. What he wants to do, and what he is sure of course to awaken the thousand-handed demonic vine. Such a useful special monster, don't give it up for free. The thousand-handed demonic vine's strength is estimated to be around the 2-year-old soul beast, but its mechanism is rather special, so it appears to be very powerful and troublesome. Chen Luo has long been able to awaken the 2-year-old soul beast, and the King of Earth in the necromantic space is the best proof. "Wake!" Chen Luo shouted in his heart, and the death scythe fell, instantly sinking into the body of the thousand-handed demonic vine. A faint black light flickered, and Chen Luo's soul power was frantically drained away, and then a thin gray aura began to linger around the thousand-handed demonic vine. In less than 1 minute, the awakening is over. The thousand-handed demonic vine woke up again, with a few gray lines on its originally dark body, and a bit of gray aura surrounding its body. Call. Suddenly a gust of wind broke out from the thousand-handed demonic vine, and then the thousand-handed demonic vine's body shrank rapidly, and finally turned into a small black vine. As thick as chopsticks and 20 centimeters long. You can actually change the size, which is the best. I'm worried that I have no place to put it, and the necromantic space is almost full. Of course Chen Luo was extremely surprised to see that the thousand-handed demonic vine had the ability to change size. The thousand-handed demonic vine was very spiritual. It knew it was taking up space, so it took the initiative to become smaller, and even climbed onto Chen Luo's body. Finally, it stayed on Chen Luo's left hand and wrapped around the death bracelet on Chen Luo's wrist. The death bracelet originally looked relatively simple, but after being surrounded by the thousand-handed magic vine, the new shape actually looked pretty good. The main thing is that the thousand-handed demonic vine is not in the way at all, and it is quite comfortable to wear together with the death bracelet. Is it that simple? Guang's Huangfei was a little surprised. Chen Luo nodded slightly. Well, It's not difficult. Guang's Huangfei said, would you like me to find some corpses of titled Douluo for you to try? Chen Luo laughed dumbly. I don't have the ability to awaken the titled Douluo yet, so I have to become stronger. Then come on. Yes, I will. It can be seen that Gong's Hongfei is very interested in the scene of resurrection from the dead. Maybe as Gong's Hongyang said, Guang's Hongfei really wants to pursue eternal life. Before even going to the real hiding place of the evil soul master's treasure, he had already harvested a special kind of monster, the thousand-handed demonic vine. According to Chen Luo's perception, the thousand-handed demonic vine still has many dead souls of vine-like soul beasts stored in its body. When necessary, the thousand-handed demonic vine can be summoned directly for use. That's right, the undead souls of those vine-like soul beasts are stored in the body of the thousand-handed demonic vine, and they can change in size along with the thousand-handed demonic vine. This may be the true function of the thousand-handed demonic vine. If there is a chance in the future, you can continue to store the dead spirit of the vine-like soul beast in the body of the thousand-handed demonic vine. Even today's vine-like soul beasts are not very good, and it is difficult to have such a powerful existence. Maybe the soul beasts in the past have better resources. This thousand-handed demonic vine basically stores more than 10,000 years of vine-like souls in its body. Undead beast. Let's talk about this later, there's no rush right now. Come on, let's go down there. Did you find anything good down there just now? Now the thousand-handed demonic vine has been adopted as his own, it's time to see the evil soul master's true treasure. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Iceberg One Corner. While talking, Chen Luo and his group were already walking towards the underground cave again. Facing Chen Luo's inquiry, Guang's Hongyang smiled coldly and said, there are no items down there. I suspect that those treasures have long been swallowed up by Duan Xiaoyu. Guang's Hongyang, you are so slanderous. Duan Xiaoyu immediately said angrily, I found that your Gong's Hongyang especially likes to sow discord. Chen Luo, quiet. Guang's Hongyang and Duan Xiaoyu fell silent instantly. You have no secrets in front of me. There is no need to argue about this. Guang's Hongyang, don't say such words next time. Yes, master. Guang's Hongyang immediately nodded in agreement. Guang's Huangfei said unexpectedly, stupid. Duan Xiaoyu immediately followed, stupid. Guang's Hongyang. Chen Luo didn't ask about the situation anymore, because the underground cave was right in front of him, and he would know by going down and taking a look. He jumped directly into the underground cave and fell rapidly for a few seconds before stepping on the ground again. Compared to the darkness in the passage, the cave was extremely bright. No one knew where the light source came from. It was like daylight inside. The cave is huge, big enough to accommodate a small mountain village. Here, it seems like another world, but this world is completely deserted at first glance. There was no need for Chen Luo to ask again. Duan Xiaoyu spoke on his own. Master, I don't know why this place is like this. When I first arrived here, it was clearly a paradise. Chen Luo instantly shared the scene in Duan Xiaoyu's memory. This place used to be like a paradise. There are flowers, plants and trees, and there are also streams and rivers. There is just no one, not even beasts. From the desolation in front of us, we can also see some signs of the existence of paradise. Not far ahead is the riverbed. The treasures I obtained were also picked up here. Duan Xiaoyu continued. Chen Luo once again shared the memory images in Duan Xiaoyu's mind. Duan Xiaoyu was walking alone in this paradise, and was attracted by a plant as black as ink beside the river, and then heard a hoarse and old voice. Eat it and you will gain powerful bewitching ability. Your voice is the strongest weapon. Duan Xiaoyu accidentally ate the pitch-black plant, and then fell into pain for a long time. Chen Luo took the initiative to skip those memory scenes and went directly to the scene after Duan Xiaoyu recovered. Duan Xiaoyu has indeed gained the ability to bewitch, and her voice has become unique. As long as she deliberately manipulates it, she can use her voice to do many things. Not only did he gain this special ability, Duan Xiaoyu's strength also increased a lot. Then, the hoarse old voice began to sound continuously, guiding Duan Xiaoyu to obtain one treasure after another. For example, I found words on a stone that recorded some of the evil soul master's abilities, and I found a blood-colored fruit under a certain big tree. Duan Xiaoyu did gain a lot here, which is why she was able to become Contra later. There are many strange treasures here, and the hoarse old voice seems to have the ability to confuse. Duan Xiaoyu obeys the words of that voice, without any consciousness of his own, but does many things. It's like a puppet being played with. You do whatever others want you to do, without even the ability to resist. Of course, Duan Xiaoyu didn't give much. The only thing she gave was her voice. Maybe Duan Xiaoyu's voice was also very nice before, but it was nothing compared to what she gained. Later, I don't know when Duan Xiaoyu regained her consciousness, and her first move was to escape from here. I feel like I will really become a puppet if I continue to stay here. If I don't escape then, I will never be able to escape. It was still fine when I left, and when I left the cave, those black vines were still there, but they just took the initiative to make way for me. Then I followed the dark passage all the way to the bottom of the lake and left here. The things I have obtained are only a small part of this place. It can even be described as the tip of the iceberg. I don't know why this place is like this. When Chen Luo shared Duan Xiaoyu's memory, Duan Xiaoyu was also telling about the past, but Chen Luo was able to see those scenes more intuitively through Duan Xiaoyu's memory. Is it possible that someone came here in advance? After hearing this, Guangzhongyang immediately put forward his own opinion. Yu Yao shook his head. It's unlikely. If this place is really as Duan Xiaoyu said, almost no one can completely destroy it, not even a titled Douluo, because as long as there is too much movement, everyone here will be destroyed. Everything will be buried forever. After Yu Yao finished speaking, everyone's eyes fell on Guangzhongfei. Guangzhongfei said, it is indeed difficult to do it, mainly because it cannot be done so perfectly. While Liang Hao was lying on the ground at this time, seemingly sensing his heart, Chen Luo asked, what's the gain? While Liang Hao looked strange, there seems to be a cave below. With that said, while Liang Hao punched the ground directly, the ground cracked instantly, and through those cracks, some clues could indeed be seen. No way, there are layer after layer. If there is really a world below, after I go down, there will be another world below. Wouldn't it be endless? Guangzhongyang couldn't help complaining. Guangzhongfei, quiet. Yes, brother. Guangzhongyang shut up immediately. While Liang Hao looked at Chen Luo, Master, I cannot completely get through this place with my strength. Yu Yao punched the ground hard. The crack he created was deeper, but it seemed that it was still not warm enough. Duan Xiaoyu immediately gave up the struggle, and Guangzhongyang had no intention of trying. Everyone's eyes fell on Guangzhongfei again. Chen Luo said, Senior, please. Guangzhongfei nodded slightly, then called out his bloody sword, and then slashed hard towards the ground, and a huge ravine instantly appeared in front of everyone. As Liang Hao said, there is indeed a world hidden below, which is a replica of everything in front of him, but the environment there is more in line with the environment in Duan Xiaoyu's memory. Guangzhongyang. After clearing a path, Guangzhongfei put away his sword and spoke calmly, calling Guangzhongyang's name. Guangzhongyang immediately understood what his brother meant, and he acted immediately. Martial Soul Real Body. Guangzhongyang threw the black long sword in his hand, and then directly activated the martial spirit avatar. As Guangzhongyang's momentum increased, the black long sword became extremely huge. Come on, let's go down right now. Guangzhongyang jumped onto the black sword, and the others also jumped up at Guangzhongyang's signal. Guangzhongfei jumped down the ravine alone and rushed toward the world below at extremely fast speeds. Guangzhongyang smiled and shouted, wait for us. Chapter 110 Treasure Place. Through the crack, Chen Luo and others soon came to the underground world, which was truly the paradise as Duan Xiaoyu said. However, the environment here seems very dark, and the forest in front of you is completely submerged in darkness. The trees here are not very dense, but they can swallow up all light sources. By the way, light source. No one knows where the light source here comes from. Looking up, you can only see pitch black, and you can vaguely see the location of the cracks coming down. But there is still light here, as if these lights appear out of thin air. That's right, it's here. As soon as he arrived here, Duan Xiaoyu immediately said with certainty. Chen Luo nodded lightly. He had obtained the memory picture from Duan Xiaoyu's memory, and everything in front of him was indeed consistent with that picture. Wood spirit grass. It's actually wood spirit grass. After confirming the environment, Guangzhongyang's voice suddenly sounded, and he seemed very excited. Master, I saw a lot of wood spirit grass in the woods in front. Guangzhongyang said excitedly. Wood spirit grass. Chen Luo had never heard of it. Yu Yao on the side introduced, a rather special herb. It is said that after taking it, it can prolong human life and even rejuvenate people. I don't know the specific details. I have only heard about it. Guangzhongyang immediately took up the topic. This kind of medicinal herb disappeared many years ago. I didn't expect that there are so many here. Compared to Guangzhongyang's excitement, Guangzhongfei always maintained the demeanor of a master, standing with his hands behind his back and his eyes slightly closed, as if sensing the situation here. While Liang Hao also immediately played his role. After turning on his martial spirit, he almost lay on the ground, sensing everything here through the land. Duan Xiao said, I have said a long time ago that there are many treasures here. If that special voice hadn't been so terrifying and almost controlled me and turned me into a puppet, I wouldn't have escaped from here. I would have tried my best to take the good stuff out of here. I thought I was strong enough to come back and explore again, but before I reached my destination, I was targeted by that damn bastard, and then I met you, the masters. I don't know whether all this is a blessing or a curse. Although I didn't get the evil soul master's treasure, I have gained eternal life. Chen Luo said very calmly, people will die eventually, and I am no exception. The implication of this sentence is that if I die, you will all be finished, so there is no talk of eternal life. Duan Xiao smiled and said, we always believe that master, you can surpass the limits of human beings and move towards true eternal life. Master, let's collect those wood spirit grasses quickly. If nothing else, those wood spirit grasses alone are already priceless treasures. We are already undead and can't use them, but master, you can use them. Guangzhongyang said very directly, master, if you can live for 2 more years, it means that we can also live for 2 more years. This was too direct, but Duan Xiao said it more pleasantly. Chen Luo, move freely, just pay attention to your own safety. It had been some time since they had been here, but they didn't hear the strange sounds in Duan Xiao's memory, and there were no threats around them. After all, Guangzhongyang also possesses the strength of Soul Saint. If he acts alone, there will be no problems. Even if there is a problem, his titled Douluo brother is here. After receiving Chen Luo's permission, Guangzhongyang took action immediately and rushed directly towards the dark woods ahead. For beings with certain strength, darkness is not a problem at all. Guangzhongyang was extremely cautious, activated his martial soul, and used his 6th soul skill. A series of black swords surrounded him. It seemed that whenever danger appeared, these black swords would immediately attack. After Guangzhongyang entered the woods, Guangzhongfei slowly opened his eyes, and while Liang Hao on one side also ended his martial spirit state. You speak first. Noticing Wai Liang Hao's eyes on him, Guangzhongfei spoke calmly. Wai Liang Hao immediately said, there is something wrong with the woods ahead. It is very dangerous inside. I sensed an extremely dangerous aura under the woods. Chen Luo heard this and looked at Guangzhongfei. Guangzhongfei nodded, I sense the existence of the sealing array. There seems to be a more powerful being sealed below, and the sealing array is about to expire. Even Guangzhongfei, who was at the title Douluo level, used the word powerful to describe him, indicating that the situation under the woods was really dangerous. Then you still let your stupid brother go? Duan Xiao couldn't help but ask. Let him explore the way. Aren't you afraid that he will die inside? Can't I? Alright. Guangzhongyang has completely become a tool man, even his brother already thinks so. However, after waiting for a while, Guangzhongyang's figure walked out, holding a large handful of plants with a faint green glow that looked like blue silver grass in his hand, with an excited smile on his face. There are indeed a lot of wood spirit grasses in there, let's go in together and collect them all. Guangzhongyang came to Chen Luo and others, and then handed the wood spirit grass to Chen Luo. Here you go, if you eat it, you will live longer. Chen Luo smiled lightly and did not reach out to pick it up. Yu Yao on one side suddenly took action, his martial soul instantly possessed him, and his huge wolf claws directly penetrated Guangzhongyang's chest. An unexpected expression appeared on Guangzhongyang's face, followed by extremely resentful eyes. The next second, Guangzhongyang turned into a puddle of mud, and the wood spirit grass in his hand turned into a bunch of black bugs. The moment Guangzhongyang fell, all the bugs died. Guangzhongyang usually calls you master. Are you calling him so harshly because you are afraid that we won't be able to tell that something is wrong with you? Yu Yao put away his martial spirit state and smiled disdainfully at the puddle of mud on the ground. Then, everyone's eyes fell on Guangzhongfei. I know something happened to him. Guangzhongfei looked very calm, and there was no expression on his scarred face. I won't take action, you can figure it out yourself. Guangzhongfei said. Duan Xiao frowned slightly. He is your biological brother. My brother is already dead. He is an undead spirit. After Guangzhongfei expressed his stance, the eyes of Yu Yao and others quickly fell on Chen Luo, waiting for Chen Luo to give orders. Chen Luo said, let's go and see what kind of monsters there are. After saying that, he took the lead in activating the martial spirit, holding the death scythe, wearing the death armor, and stepping on the death boots, and walked slowly towards the dark forest. When Yu Yao and others saw this, they were all ready to fight and protected Chen Luo. The treasure trove must be surrounded by dangers. If you want to obtain the treasure, you must face and resolve those dangers. When Chen Luo decided to go treasure hunting, he was already mentally prepared. Chapter 111 The Sealed Shadow. Guangzhongfei was not worried at all, which meant that the danger in the dark woods was limited. There are degrees of danger. Since Guangzhongyang's life will not be in danger, he and others will definitely not have any major problems. Cannon fodder has the value of cannon fodder, not to mention that this cannon fodder is the younger brother of a titled Douluo, so the information obtained in exchange for it is more credible. With Guangzhongfei's brotherly feelings for Guangzhongyang, it is impossible to make fun of his brother's life. He has already died once. If he dies again, he will be completely gone. Under the protection of Yu Yao and others, Chen Luo walked into the dark woods. In fact, this forest is not particularly conspicuous in this underground world, because many places are submerged in darkness, which is why Guangzhongyang, the idiot, took his fancy here. As soon as he entered the woods, Chen Luo felt a cold feeling, always feeling chilly on his back. Other than that, there is no special feeling. The relatively fresh smell of earth mixed with the special smell of trees hits your nostrils. It's not a pleasant smell, but it's not unpleasant either. Darkness was like nothing in front of Chen Luo. His body was special, and his eyes were naturally in it. Even in such a dark environment, he could vaguely see the situation ahead, and then matched it with his powerful perception. It was as if the darkness did not exist, and everything became extremely clear. After walking cautiously for a while, Chen Luo quickly saw Guangzhongyang's figure. Guangzhongyang stood there, giggling, his eyes dull. This is true, Guangzhongyang is right, no one can pretend to be as stupid as him. Chen Luo tried to use his special connection with Guangzhongyang to communicate with Guangzhongyang. At first, Chen Luo felt a slight obstruction, but as soon as Chen Luo concentrated for a moment, the obstruction was broken directly without any need to be too big of strength. Soon, Chen Luo saw what Guangzhongyang saw. Guangzhongyang was immersed in the joy that he had just broken through the title of Douluo. His brother Guangzhongfei was constantly praising him on the side, his face full of pride and happiness. Good guy, does Guangzhongyang need Guangzhongfei's approval so much? Chen Luo gently snapped his fingers, and Guangzhongyang instantly woke up from his sweet dream. After being stunned for a while, Guangzhongyang came back to his senses and looked at Chen Luo and others with some surprise. Master, why are you here? I thought you were dead, so I came here to see if I could still collect your body. Duan Xiao said calmly. She seemed to be particularly at odds with Guangzhongyang, and they started to fight each other when they met. Guangzhongyang curled his lips. I didn't ask you. But it doesn't prevent me from answering. Duan Xiao said. Chen Luo ignored the bickering between Guangzhongyang and Duan Xiao and asked directly, what happened just now? Guangzhongyang smiled sheepishly. Master, haven't you seen everything? That's not what I asked. Chen Luo said. Guangzhongyang suddenly understood. Oh, I just saw a black shadow, and then I entered a dream inexplicably. The dream is very real. I can tell. Chen Luo nodded. Guangzhongyang looked embarrassed. Master, I feel that we have no privacy in front of you. Chen Luo responded very directly. This is indeed the case, but I rarely look at your memories, otherwise I wouldn't ask you. Just look at it yourself. There was nothing I could do about it just now. I understand, Master. Guangzhongyang smiled. Chen Luo asked, have you seen the appearance of that black shadow clearly? Guangzhongyang thought for a moment, as if he was thinking of some adjective, and finally said, "No, I feel like it is just a shadow." Shadow. Yes, it's the shadow. Guangzhongyan confirmed. Chen Luo looked at Wei Liang Hao, who looked a little embarrassed. "Master, my abilities are limited." "All right." Chen Luo's eyes fell on Guangzhongyan again. "Where's the wood spirit grass you were looking for?" Guangzhongyan immediately looked around, then smiled awkwardly and said, "They all ran away." "Will the grass grow and run away again?" Mulling grass is similar to cordyceps. Grass cannot run away, but insects can. They are alive and are extremely cunning. Chen Luo nodded slightly. "I can't sense their presence at all. It's already gone. It's hard to find again." Guangzhongyan looked increasingly embarrassed. "There are no other good things here. Let's go look elsewhere," Guangzhongyan said. Chen Luo nodded. He did not sense anything special, except for some special power coming from the underground. Wei Liang Hao said at this time, "Master, it is coming out soon." "No, it has already come out," Chen Luo said. "It was still down there a moment ago, but now it's gone." It is what Gongzhongfei said is a relatively powerful existence. There is indeed a sealing array here. Chen Luo saw some clues. On the way here, he saw some special energy patterns on the ground. Those are the cornerstones of the array. It is true that, as Gongzhongfei said, this magic circle is no longer good, but Chen Luo did not expect that this magic circle collapsed so quickly. For those who ride horses, everything is calculated. You should pay attention to yourselves and don't worry about me, Chen Luo said calmly, then turned on immortality and concentrated his attention. If possible, Chen Luo even wanted to bring all these undead brothers into the undead space. Because he has determined that the relatively powerful person from underground is the shadow Gongzhongyan mentioned. Chen Luo had just sensed the existence of the shadow. The opponent was not strong, but very capable. Just outside the woods, the fake Gongzhongyan was the best proof. Chen Luo was not worried about the shadow acting as his undead brothers, because he has the most direct connection with his undead, and he can instantly tell the difference between real and fake without even looking. But Gongzhongyan and the others are different. They can only distinguish between real and fake Chen Luo, but they can't distinguish between teammates. Even though there is a certain special connection between them, that connection is not particularly strong, at least not strong enough. Let them tell the difference between real and fake teammates. What Chen Luo was worried about was that they would fight among themselves. "Everyone is moving closer to me. No one is allowed to act without my order," Chen Luo said. "Yes." Guangzhongyan and others agreed in unison. The shadow was all around, hidden in the darkness. He didn't take action immediately. Like a poisonous snake hiding in the dark, it would rush out and bite you at any time. In fact, it's not scary to rush out. He is more of a threat hiding in the dark. Chen Luo couldn't determine the exact location of the shadow, even Wei Liang Hao, who had a strong sense of perception. Shadows are extremely cunning. "Master, let's go directly. There is no need to waste time with this thing," Wei Liang Hao suggested. "Go? Why do you want to go?" A slightly ferocious smile appeared on Chen Luo's face. "The biggest treasure here is the shadow." Shadow seemed to have heard Chen Luo's words, and he actually start running away. Chapter 112 Special Soul Body. How could Chen Luo let the shadow leave like that? He exerted force on his feet and rushed towards the direction of the shadow at an extremely fast speed. With the blessing of the boots of death, his speed was so fast that he left shadows in the air. Guangzhongyan and the others immediately reacted and followed Chen Luo's footsteps. What surprised them was that their master, who was far weaker than them in strength, was actually faster than them and couldn't catch up for a while. Soon, Chen Luo caught up with the shadow and swung the death scythe in a direction in the darkness without any hesitation. Hunting soul. The death scythe seemed to have penetrated something, and with Chen Luo's low cry, extremely terrifying power was continuously sucked into Chen Luo's body through the death scythe. Only then did Gongzhongyan and the others catch up with Chen Luo. After seeing Chen Luo's movements, they all immediately retreated a distance to leave a larger space for Chen Luo. In addition, each of them has entered a state of high alert. They all know that their master is at a critical moment at this time. Special power continued to enter his body. Chen Luo felt a chill all over his body, but he felt nothing special afterward. There was no negative effect, and even the memory of shadow did not actively appear in Chen Luo's mind. It was like a heavy book placed in front of Chen Luo, allowing Chen Luo to choose whether to read it or not. Chen Luo's strength was improving rapidly, and he soon reached level 45. He was promoted several levels in succession, but he only reached level 45, and there was no excessive improvement. Chen Luo has always been very determined and never pursues the little achievements in front of him. He is very stable. When his strength has improved to a certain level, he would rather use the extra strength to repeatedly consolidate his strength than to continue to do so. Continue to choose direct promotion. I don't know how long it took, until Chen Luo could no longer receive power, and the soul hunting process ended. Chen Luo withdrew the death side, and the shadow in the darkness completely disappeared. The harvest has been great. The soul power level has directly reached level 45, but it will take a certain amount of time to consolidate the foundation. We cannot continue to increase it. The consequences of overthrowing the achievements are too serious and we simply cannot afford it. Chen Luo ended his immortal state and then took back the death side, but the death's armor and death's boots were still exposed. Master, is it over? Seeing Chen Luo take the initiative to put away his martial spirit, Guangzhongyang and the others moved closer and asked tentatively. Chen Luo nodded, well, it's over. Without waiting for Guangzhongyang and the others to ask questions, Chen Luo directly spoke about the situation just now. The shadow is a soul body, and it is not a separate soul body, but a mixture of many souls. It is probably also the work of the evil soul master. Its own strength is not strong, but its ability to transform is very strong, and it can create powerful illusions. It's a pity that its abilities are useless to us. To be precise, they are useless to me. The reason why I was able to find its location accurately is because my martial spirit is special and can give me hints. As for the scene just now, you must all know it by heart. It is my other special ability, soul hunting. It is very similar to the evil soul master's ability to harvest souls, but it is much stronger than the evil soul master's ability. That's it for the whole situation. Is there anything else you want to ask? Chen Luo couldn't determine the location of the shadow at first. As he said, he sensed it with the help of the death scythe. The death scythe seemed to be very sensitive to this special soul body. As for the shadow's special abilities, Chen Luo is immune to them. He has a special connection with the undead. Even if the shadow pretends to be similar, Chen Luo can still recognize it at a glance. As for illusions and the like, they have no effect on Chen Luo, because the death god's armor can ignore all mental and soul-based skills. While talking, Chen Luo and the others were also walking towards the dark woods. There is no usable value to squeeze here, and the biggest treasure, Shadow, has been accepted by Chen Luo. As for the wood spirit grass discovered by Guangzhongyang, it has escaped, and it is difficult to find it again even if it digs 3 feet into the ground. There is nothing more to ask. We are very grateful that the master can answer our questions. Guangzhongyang said with a smile. Yu Yao and the others also nodded. Duan Xiaoyu suddenly said, Master, after you absorbed the shadow, did you inherit its abilities? Chen Luo shook his head. No, it's good to be able to take it away with soul hunting. Although it is a mixture of many souls, it is very pure, otherwise I would not be able to attack it. If the shadow is dirty, no matter how many benefits it can bring, Chen Luo will not attack it. That's a pity. Duan Xiaoyu said. Guangzhongyang seemed disapproving. Our master is so powerful, does he care about his slightest ability? Duan Xiaoyu curled his lips. Are you feeling uncomfortable if you don't flatter me all day long? You old woman, don't talk nonsense. These are my feelings from the bottom of my heart. Guangzhongyang said immediately. Seeing that Duan Xiaoyu and Guangzhongyang were about to fight again, Chen Luo immediately shouted, That's enough, be quiet. Duan Xiaoyu, Guangzhongyang and others calmed down, and Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao beside them were already used to it. At this time, Chen Luo and his party had walked out of the dark forest. Hey, where's my brother? Is he going in to look for me too? Guangzhongyang glanced around, but could not find Guangzhongfei. You think you are too important, that is, if our master is willing to find you, your brother will not care about your life or death. He knows that there is danger there and still wants you to test it. Duan Xiaoyu sneered, and then told Guangzhongyang what happened just now. Guangzhongyang suddenly fell silent. Don't worry about Senior Guangzhongfei, we will continue to explore for treasures here. Chen Luo said. With Guangzhongfei's strength, it is almost impossible for anything to happen here. Even if something happened, the noise would be huge. Naturally, Guangzhongyang and the other undead spirits had no objections to Chen Luo's words. They continued to act as bodyguards, guarding Chen Luo carefully and vigilantly. Actually, there's no need to be so nervous. It's not as dangerous as you think. Chen Luo saw the posture of his undead and couldn't help but said, I'm not that fragile. Even if I can't face danger, I still have the ability to escape. Everyone, please relax. After hearing this, Guangzhongyang and the others dispersed from Chen Luo, but they also walked in 2 rows. Yu Yao and Guangzhongyang were on the left and right, Chen was in the middle, and Duan Xiao and Wei Liang Hao were walking behind. Seeing that his undead souls were still so dedicated, Chen Luo had nothing to say, as long as he was not completely surrounded. Walking in this paradise, to be precise, walking in a darker paradise. There is a light source here, but overall it's dark. The originally beautiful environment seemed a bit eerie against the gloom. After walking for a while here, Chen Luo and the others soon gained something again. It's wood spirit grass. Chapter 113 Evil Experiment. The wood spirit grass that was in the dark forest ran away, but now Chen Luo and the others also discovered these special plants on a flat land. The number is not very large, just a dozen or so. Guangzhongyang seemed to be very experienced in digging these special plants. He carefully moved forward and then slammed his palms on the ground, directly taking out all the wood spirit grass. With a big hand, all the wood spirit grass came into Guangzhongyang's hands. After sorting it out for a while, he immediately handed the wood spirit grass to Chen Luo. At first glance, the wood spirit grass does not seem to be much different from ordinary grass, but if you look closely, you can find that it is divided into upper and lower parts. The upper part is like a blue-silver grass with a faint green glow, about 7 to 10 centimeters high, with some special lines on the top. The lower half is like an old silkworm, about 3 to 6 centimeters long and about 1 centimeter thick. It has a dark green appearance and a rough surface. There are many horizontal wrinkles on the back and 8 pairs of thorax on the ventral surface. These are wood spirit grasses. Eating them can prolong life and make people younger. It's a pity that those wood spirit grasses I saw earlier, if they weren't entangled by shadows, they would all belong to you, the master. Guangzhongyang smiled. Master, please don't look at these things. They are very effective. After taking them, it can increase your lifespan by at least half a year. However, you can only eat 1 plant. It is useless to eat too much. As if he felt that what he said was not detailed enough, Guangzhongyang added some more. There are not many good things in the world that can prolong life. The wood spirit grass is almost extinct, and it is probably only in this ghost place. In addition to extending lifespan, taking muleng grass can make people younger, not only in appearance, but also in certain aspects. Master, you know this. After saying that, Guangzhongyang also laughed evilly. Chen Luo put the wood spirit grass away directly. He was not very interested in it at the moment, which meant that none of his undead souls would use it, otherwise he would just give it to them to eat. Extending his life for a year and a half means little to Chen Luo. If he cannot break through the ultimate limit, even if he continues to live for decades, it will be a joke. He cannot reach the top when he is young, and it is even more impossible when he is old. Living so it's not interesting for a long time. As for the function of making people younger, Chen Luo couldn't even use it. He is already very young and handsome. If he were more handsome, he would probably have a lot of troubles. But it doesn't matter. I and the undead don't need it, but there are a lot of people who can use it. When the time comes, I can take it back to those who need it. This thing is definitely marketable and priceless. If it appears on the market, it will definitely make many people crazy. After obtaining the wood spirit grass, Chen Luo and the others continued to move forward. Not long after leaving, Chen Luo and others all frowned. The air was filled with a pungent smell of blood, and large black blood stains appeared on the ground in front of him. Chen Luo was certain that these were definitely not human blood. There are actually other creatures here. Chen Luo was a little surprised in his heart, but soon he couldn't help laughing. Why do you use the word Jiran? Isn't it normal for strange things to exist in this place? Thousand-handed magic vines and shadows have appeared. Even if it's something weird, it's normal. The existence of strange things was exactly what Chen Luo wanted. He was also worried that it would be too peaceful here. If he just picked up herbs or something, it would be too boring. Chen Luo's goal is very clear. Since it is the Evil Soul Master's treasure, there must be something related to the Evil Soul Master. What can attract Chen Luo are souls, undead souls, and special creatures cultivated by the evil soul master. So, the shadow just now is a very good harvest. A special creature, the thousand-handed demonic vine must be counted. As for the undead, for the time being, I only see the undead vine-like plant soul beasts controlled by the thousand-handed demonic vine, and there are still many in the thousand-handed demonic vine's body. Chen Luo has already achieved these goals. But people's desires are always unsatisfied. After they have gained something, they want more things. And here happens to have those treasures, otherwise it wouldn't be called the evil soul master's treasure. No useful information could be obtained from the bloodstains in front of them, so Chen Luo and the others continued to move forward. Even though there was no bloodstain in front of them, the pungent smell of blood still filled the air. After following the smell of blood, Chen Luo soon discovered the source of the smell. Lying on the ground were a pile of half-orc corpses, including bull-headed humans, pig-headed humans, and other half-human, half-beast monsters. They were basically 3 meters tall and extremely strong. Are these also the works of evil soul masters? Chen Luo asked with a frown. In his impression, there were no orcs in Douluo world. Guangzhongyang nodded slightly, looking a little heavy. It should be. When I was still alive, I heard those guys saying that they were going to conduct a special experiment, which was to combine some soul beasts with humans using a special method. I didn't expect that those guys actually did it. You are indeed an evil soul master, worthy of the word evil. Duan Xiao said coldly. Guangzhongyang sighed. I didn't expect that they would really do this, otherwise I would definitely stop them. Chen Luo believed what Guangzhongyang said. After all, Guangzhongyang himself was a fake evil soul master. Before coming here, as far as Chen Luo knew about evil soul masters, the reason why evil soul masters were labeled as evil was mainly because their abilities were too abnormal. Even low-end versions of soul hunting and awakening are already very perverted, and therefore the world cannot tolerate them, so they are isolated. But after arriving here, especially after seeing the scene in front of him, Chen Luo instantly changed his view on the evil soul masters. Maybe they were really a group of extremely evil guys and deserved to be exterminated. No matter which world you are in, as long as you experiment with humans and animals, you are destined to be criticized by the world. But don't say it's for any great scientific research, it's just to satisfy your extremely perverted ideas. As for these created by the evil soul master, they must be for more powerful power. Are those who did the experiment voluntary? Duan Xiao asked. Guangzhongyang smiled awkwardly and said, who wants to become a monster? Are you willing? Okay, let's skip this topic for now. These orcs died not long ago. Who killed them? Chen Luo asked. Guangzhongyang immediately said, if it weren't for my brother, he wouldn't carry out such a rough killing. The wounds on both the Minotaur and the pig-headed man seemed very random. Even the fatal wounds seemed to fall randomly and were cut by sharp blades. It was precisely because of this that so much black blood flowed out, making the surrounding area. The air was filled with the smell of blood and became much turbid. Judging from their size alone, the fighting capabilities of the Tauren and pig heads are definitely good, and they are both rough-skinned and thick-bodied, so it is not that easy to kill them. If we continue walking, we should be able to meet the culprit soon. Chen Luo said. Chapter 114 True and False. And many more. Just as Chen Luo took steps forward, Duan Xiaoyu's voice suddenly sounded. Everyone's eyes instantly fell on Duan Xiaoyu, who was frowning slightly and speaking slowly. Master, don't you think these things are strange? Duan Xiaoyu said that she did not use the words Tauren or pig heads to describe them, but directly used the word thing. What's weird? Chen Luo was a little confused. He didn't sense anything strange. Duan Xiaoyu seemed unsure. She walked straight towards the corpses of the orcs, and then passed directly through them. Are those corpses ghosts? Exclamation mark. After Duan Xiaoyu passed through the orc's corpse, he squatted down and reached out to touch the black blood on the ground. After touching the ground, Duan Xiaoyu showed her hand to Chen Luo and others. There was no blood on her hand. Even the bloodstains are fake. This is all false. Duan Xiaoyu walked to Chen Luo again and said calmly. When I came here last time, although I didn't visit all of this place, I walked most of the places. I am sure that I have never seen these things, and this place is so hidden, unless it is deliberately I came here looking for treasure, otherwise I would never have discovered it, let alone entered here. They didn't exist in the first place, and it's even less likely that they would appear in just a few decades. Chen Luo frowned slightly. It's too real. No matter it is the picture in front of you or the strong smell of blood in the air, it is extremely real. Even if you use your mental power to perceive it all, it is as if it really exists. Chen Luo was not interested in these orcs, so he had no intention of using awakening to resurrect them. If Duan Xiaoyu hadn't discovered Niduan, he and others would have believed everything in front of them. Yet, it's so true. Guangzhongyang and others had more or less expressions of surprise on their faces. Guangzhongyang even repeated Duan Xiaoyu's behavior and walked directly towards the orc's body. Boom! Guangzhongyang actually bumped into it, and black blood smeared his face and completely stained his clothes. This. Guangzhongyang turned around stiffly, with a confused look on his face. Seeing Guangzhongyang's extremely embarrassed look, Chen Luo and others couldn't help laughing, and the look of shock on everyone's faces became even more intense. What's going on? Chen Luo frowned again, and this time he walked over. Then, it passed through the shadow like Duan Xiaoyu. When he looked at Guangzhongyang again, there was no trace of black blood on his body. All hallucinations? Then this illusion is a little too real. It's useless to get too entangled here. Just follow these clues and you can always find the reason. Chen Luo gave orders. He was not the kind of person who hesitated. He was unwilling to waste too much time standing still if he could take action. Duan Xiaoyu and others nodded immediately after hearing this. Guangzhongyang was still subconsciously touching his face and patting his clothes. Why do I feel like there are still those black blood stains on my body? The smell of blood has always been present in the air, and as Chen Luo and others continued to search, the smell of blood became stronger and stronger, as if everyone was in a blood mist. The situation in front of him became more and more strange. From time to time, black blood mist could be seen, and the corpses of some orcs could be seen at intervals. The minotaurs and pig-headed men they had seen before seemed to be the lowest kind. Soon they saw half human and half snake, with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a mandala snake. It is half human and half spider, with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a human-faced demon spider. In short, there are all kinds of strange existences, all of which are combinations of humans and spirit beasts. Without exception, they are all very strong. Even if they are phantoms or corpses, their powerful aura can be felt very realistically. If moral ethics are put aside, the evil soul masters who study these special existences are really talented people. In the process of rushing, Chen Luo and the others did not gain nothing. As Duan Xiaoyu described before, this place is full of treasures of evil soul masters. In addition to some unknown medicinal herbs, there are also some broken notes of evil soul masters, and several special soul tools. In terms of medicinal herbs, a total of 3 plants were harvested, and all 3 plants were different. There was only one plant that Duan Xiaoyu knew. It was a completely black herb that Duan Xiaoyu had eaten before. After eating it, he could produce powerful bewitching sounds. Duan Xiaoyu was deeply impressed, and she probably would never forget this herb in her life. The other 2 plants are actually similar in appearance, similar to the wood spirit grass. The upper half is grass and the lower half is insects. However, the color of their grass and the types of insects are very strange. One is a centipede with blood red grass and black leaves, and the other is a scorpion with dark purple grass and green leaves. Even Guangzhongyang didn't recognize these 2 wood spirit grass with skin. He only vaguely guessed that these 2 herbs were not good things and contained highly toxic substances. Everyone can see it without him having to say it. As for the broken evil soul master's notebook, it was actually just a piece of parchment with many incomprehensible words written on it. Guangzhongyang also recognized it roughly, but did not understand the reason. The general content of the note is to record the experience of a special formation. It is only half written. In addition, the professionalism of the translation needs to be studied, so it can only be left for future study. There are a total of 4 special soul tools, all of which are broken versions with different shapes. It is unknown whether they are missing parts or something, and they are all unusable. As an evil soul master, Guangzhongyang has never seen any of them. Guangzhongyang, your brother is indeed right about you. You are a fake evil soul master. No, you should be a failed evil soul master. You have joined the evil soul masters, but you don't seem to have joined. I am a little confused. What did you do all those years? Duan Xiaoyu had wanted to complain about Guangzhongyang for a long time. After harvesting the 4 special soul tools, Guangzhongyang's incomprehensible questions made Duan Xiaoyu finally speak up. Guangzhongyang smiled awkwardly. If I said that I spent all those years fighting the strong and supporting the weak, Old woman, would you believe it? I believe you, you idiot. Duan Xiao glanced at Gong Zhongyang with disdain. Gong Zhongyang smiled and said nothing more. Indeed, as an evil soul master, he came to the evil soul master's treasure spot, but he didn't play any role. I can't recognize all the herbs, I can't understand the notes, and I haven't even seen the evil soul master's items. Gong Zhongyang felt like he had failed as an evil soul master. He was indeed hoeing the strong and supporting the weak in those years. Chen Luo opened his mouth to defend Gong Zhongyang. Gong Zhongyang immediately glanced at Chen Luo gratefully, and then looked at Duan Xiao with renewed confidence. Did you hear that the master can see my memory? This proves that I am not lying. That's why I died so early. Chen Luo said slowly in half a sentence. Gong Zhongyang. Duan Xiao burst out laughing. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao glanced at Gong Zhongyang in surprise. In their impression, evil soul masters are the most evil representatives in the world. The evil soul master goes to hoe the strong and help the weak? If these words did not come from their master, they would not believe it even to death. At this time, Chen Luo and his party had arrived in front of a big tree. Chapter 115 Blackers. The tree is more than 10 meters high, with dense branches and leaves. It is difficult for more than 10 people to surround the trunk. It is unimaginably thick. No tree roots were seen, as if what was presented to Chen Luo and others was only a part of the big tree. Chen Luo and others followed the smell of blood in the air and finally found this place. The big tree in front of them seemed to be the source of everything. The smell of blood here is so strong that you can't breathe. Gong Zhongyang said with emotion. Duan Xiao pouted, do you still need to breathe? Although I am a dead soul, please treat me as a human being. Gong Zhongyang said seriously. The undead are the undead, so why are you so pretentious? Duan Xiao said. Gong Zhongyang. The situation here was indeed as described by Gong Zhongyang. Chen Luo felt as if he was in a sea of blood and had difficulty breathing. At first, Chen Luo could barely use his soul power to adjust his breathing, but as he got closer to the big tree in front of him, his soul power adjustment began to fail. The armor of death automatically took effect, and Chen Luo felt his brain cool down, and all the discomfort disappeared. Or is it a hallucination? That suffocating feeling, is it mental interference? Chen Luo was a little surprised. He knew the role of the Death God's armor. If it weren't for mental and soul attacks, the Death God's armor would not actively play a defensive role. The undead will not be affected too much, they will only have certain negative feelings, but when the negative feelings reach a critical value, all negative feelings will disappear. From the moment they become undead, they not only gain greater power, but also gain absolute immunity from negative effects. Feelings like pain don't exist at all. Speed up. Chen Luo said. Gong Zhongyang and the others were waiting for Chen Luo's words. When they saw a look of pain on Chen Luo's face, they were all very worried. Seeing Chen Luo's speed slowing down, they also slowed down and stayed with Chen Luo. As long as Chen Luo showed any signs of if something goes wrong, they will take Chen Luo out of here immediately. They were worried about Chen Luo, but they believed in Chen Luo's ability more, and Chen Luo did not let them down in the end. After picking up the speed, Chen Luo and others quickly arrived in front of the big tree. This tree is so weird. As soon as he arrived, Chen Luo couldn't help but sigh. Even though he was immune to the death armor, Chen Luo could still vaguely feel some negative feelings, but fortunately they were within the tolerable range. He couldn't imagine himself standing here without the death armor. He will probably die in pain instantly. Gong Zhongyang and the others frowned at this time, and their worried eyes fell on Chen Luo from time to time. Of course, what Chen Luo could feel, they could also vaguely feel. As undead, they are immune to all pain, but they still feel some discomfort when they come here. How terrifying does something have to be to make even the dead feel uncomfortable? Chen Luo said, who is going to see if this tree is real or fake? Everything he encountered before was an illusion, which made Chen Luo unsure whether everything in front of him was real. I'll go. I'll take the lead every time. If I don't go, I won't get used to it. Gong Zhongyang stood up, then cautiously activated his martial soul, entered the martial soul's true form, and rushed towards the big tree. Gong Zhongyang was so fast that he disappeared into the big tree in almost a blink of an eye. Is it also a shadow? However, after a moment, Gong Zhongyang was not seen coming out from the other end. Chen Luo frowned immediately, and Duan Xiao and the others also focused their eyes on Chen Luo. The contact with Gong Zhongyang is still there, But the situation is a bit complicated. Let's go in. Chen Luo activated his martial spirit while speaking and made all preparations. Duan Xiaoyu and the others immediately nodded and entered combat mode. Everyone took action immediately and rushed towards the big tree at extremely fast speeds. Duan Xiaoyu and the others disappeared into the big tree in an instant, just like Gong Zhonggang. However, Chen Luo was an exception and actually passed through the big tree. Chen Luo, who was standing on the other side of the big tree, looked at the tree with some confusion. "You still won't let me in?" A strange look flashed across Chen Luo's face. He seems to be afraid. Before Chen Luo could finish his voice, he saw Gong Zhonggang and others rushing out from the big tree. The faces of Gong Zhonggang and others were full of surprise. Looking at this posture, they didn't expect that they and others would come out so soon. It was obviously released. "Master, what's going on?" Gong Zhonggang and the others looked at Chen Luo. Chen Luo did not respond. His eyes always fell on the big tree. He discovered that the big tree was slowly disappearing. As if aware of Chen Luo's gaze, the big tree disappeared faster. "Want to run?" Chen Luo exerted force on his feet and moved extremely fast, leaving shadows in midair. At the last second before the tree disappeared, he rushed into the tree. There was darkness in front of him, and the tinkling sound of water drops could be vaguely heard. The disgusting smell of blood lingered on the tip of his nose. It was extremely strong. Chen Luo slowly closed his eyes, then opened them again. Everything in front of him changed instantly. The darkness disappeared, and it turned into a bloody world. Blood mist floated, and there were various orc corpses everywhere, all of which Chen Luo had seen along the way. The only difference is that among these orc corpses there are many human corpses wearing black robes. Their blood gathered into a sea of blood, and Chen Luo was now standing on the sea of blood. Some of the corpses were still dripping with blood, and the ding-dong sounds came from those places. Chen Luo was not affected by what he saw in front of him. He stared calmly ahead and spoke slowly. "Aren't you coming out yet?" Chen Luo's voice was not loud, but perhaps because of the special situation here, his voice resounded everywhere and even echoed. "Why do you have to hold on to me? I didn't provoke you." A suppressed and low voice sounded, and a huge figure slowly rose from the sea of blood. It was a strange creature that was half man and half horse. The upper body is human, with a complete human torso, but it is ridiculously strong. The lower body is a horse. The horse's body is very complete, as if a person has grown out of its back. Like the upper body, the horse's body is also extremely strong. This weird monster is more than 5 meters tall. It is covered in blood. It is wearing a bloody armor. Its face is completely obscured. It holds a large sword tightly in both hands. "Senta? Shadow of War Hakrim." Chen Luo blurted out subconsciously. Mainly because the strange creature in front of him looked so much like a centaur that Chen Luo's first impression was that this guy was a centaur. Shadow of War Hakrim was a hero in a game that Chen Luo had played in his previous life, and Chen Luo was deeply impressed by it. "Are you calling me?" The deep and depressed voice sounded again, and the strange creature said, "That's not my name. Remember, my name is Blackers." "No, you call centaur Blackers." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116. Are those corpses your work? Chen Luo no longer dwelled on Black Curse's name, but asked directly. Black Curse nodded slightly, and his low and depressed voice made people feel uncomfortable. "Yes, I am helping them get rid of it." "Help them get out." Chen Luo frowned slightly and looked around at the corpses of the orcs. They all died tragically. Strangely, there was no pain on their faces, which indeed gave people a feeling of relief. Black Curse said lightly, "You don't know, they live in pain every day, not only the pain of human beings, but also the pain of those soul beasts. If they are just reduced to mere tools, maybe they can accept it, but they still have to suffer every day. It's a huge mental torture to endure. It's two completely different creatures brought together in an extremely evil way. Whether it's a human or a soul beast, both body and soul will suffer unimaginable pain. You can't understand it. But I feel it because that's how I show up. I understood the pain they felt, and even more understood the desire in their hearts, so I helped them completely get rid of it. They were all very grateful to me before they died. Chen Luo's eyes fell on the orc corpses, and he nodded slightly to express his agreement. Indeed, they seem to be free. Since life is so painful every day, why don't they end it themselves? Black Curse smiled, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Do you think they have that ability? They are just killing machines full of evil aura. Except for the ability to feel pain with incomparable clarity, everything else does not belong to them, including their lives. Of course they want to commit suicide, but from the moment they appear, their souls have been cursed, and they don't even have the chance to commit suicide. I was, too, but I was luckier than them. Chen Luo withdrew his eyes from the corpses of the orcs, and then looked at the Black Curse with interest. You have quite a lot of stories. Black Curse looked very calm. I can tell you slowly. But I don't have that much time. Chen Luo smiled slightly. Black Curse looked at Chen Luo warily. What do you mean? Come with me, and we'll tell you stories later. Chen Luo waved to Black Curse. Okay. Black Curse immediately sensed something was wrong and was about to run away. However, Chen Luo was faster and arrived in front of Black Curse almost instantly. Boy, I know you are special, but you have to know that this is my world. Are you really not afraid of death? Black Curse said angrily, waving the big knife in his hand and slashing at Chen Luo. Chen Luo simply ignored Black Curse's attack and picked up the death scythe to strike at Black Curse. The Black Cursed sword successfully penetrated into Chen Luo's body, and then passed out directly from Chen Luo's body without causing any harm to Chen Luo. All are hallucinations. Chen Luo knew these were hallucinations, so he was fearless. The death scythe has not entered Black Curse's body at this time. Black Curse originally existed like a phantom, but the moment the death scythe blade penetrated, Black Curse's body instantly became real. Wake. Black Curse stiffened and lost the ability to resist, and began to curse Chen Luo crazily. If I hadn't been sealed away from most of my strength, I would definitely kill you. You despicable boy, you will definitely regret it. You will die of the backlash later, and your death will be extremely miserable. How can you be so naive? It can be described as stupid. I am a dead thing, how can I still be resurrected? Please, please let me go. I beg you. Cursing and cursing, Black Curse began to cry and beg Chen Luo, but Chen Luo ignored it all. Through the guidance of the death scythe, Chen Luo's power was quickly drained away. At the same time, Black Curse's body became more and more real. The whole process didn't know how long it lasted, until the death scythe flew out of Black Curse's body automatically. I finally succeeded. If I don't succeed, I will probably be drained. Chen Luo breathed a sigh of relief. His face became a little pale and his body was extremely weak. The death scythe disappeared automatically, and Chen Luo was so weak that he could not even maintain his martial spirit. Looking at the centaur Black Curse in front of him with some excitement, Chen Luo smiled and said, "You are welcome to join." Why? Why do you do this? Black Curse murmured. Chen Luo said with a smile, I am also helping you to escape. You cannot live in the past forever. You should have come out long ago. But I'd rather live in the past. Why do you have to bring me back to reality? Black Curse seemed unwilling. Chen Luo shrugged and said domineeringly, not so much why, because I wanted to, so I did it. Black Curse. Black Curse finally chose to accept it. In fact, he had no right to choose. You are really similar to him. Black Curse said. Chen Luo was a little surprised. Who is he? My former master. Black Curse said. Chen Luo asked, is he the one who created you? No, our appearance has nothing to do with him. It was because he rescued me that I had the chance to rescue them. Black Curse said. How do I resemble him? If the master of Black Curse is an evil soul master, there may be some similarities and abilities, but from what Black Curse said, his master should not be an evil soul master. He cursed, that kind of unreasonable energy. Chen Luo. Let's go, it's time for us to leave here. Chen Luo said. Black Curse nodded, took one last look at the corpses of the orcs, and then let out a piercing scream. Everything disappeared in an instant. Before Chen Luo could react, he and Black Curse had already arrived outside the big tree. It's him. As soon as Gong's Hongyang and others saw the Black Curse appear, they rushed forward to fight with it. Obviously, they had met before in the big tree and had fought against each other. Calm down, everyone, Black Curse will be our partner from now on. Chen Luo said. Partner. Gong's Hongyang and the others instantly frowned, looking at the half-man and half-horse Black Curse in front of them, a little unbelievable. But soon, They sensed that weak special connection, and then they gradually put down their hostility towards the black curse. Master, how did you do it? His strength is no less than that of a titled Douluo. Guangzhongyang exclaimed. Chen Luo said, what you saw at that time was all an illusion. Although black curse is indeed stronger than titled Douluo, most of whose strength has been sealed. The only thing that can be displayed is illusion. You have all been deceived by his illusion. His illusions have no effect on me. After briefly explaining the situation just now, Chen Luo said the reason in the last sentence. Illusion is of no use to him. That's why I can easily control the black curse of Centaur. It is estimated that black curse also noticed something was wrong with Chen Luo, so he wanted to run away as soon as he saw Chen Luo. But since he was targeted by Chen Luo, he was destined to be unable to escape. Chen Luo looked calm on the surface, but he was happy in his heart. Because all the seals of the black curse were released when he woke up. Chapter 117 Leave. Black curse is a very special existence. You can say that he is a soul body. It is similar to the shadow encountered in the dark woods before, but compared to the shadow, the soul of the black curse is more pure, not mixed. But the black curse is not a pure soul body, otherwise Chen Luo would not be awakening the black curse, but hunting for the soul. The black curse still has some physical existence, which is why he is extremely special. In fact, Chen Luo was not sure about reviving the black curse, and he only had the mentality of trying, but he did not expect to succeed in the end. Not only was it successful, it was also extremely perfect. He allowed black curse to fully recover his body, and also allowed black curse to lift the seal of power. Hei curse has experienced too many things, and Chen Luo doesn't want to check through Hei curse's memory. He will let Hei curse speak slowly in the future. Too many memories have a huge impact on people. This has always been something Chen Luo pays special attention to. Although I didn't check black curse's memory, I could tell from black curse's aura that black curse's strength was definitely above that of an ordinary titled Douluo. According to the information conveyed by black curse himself, he could fight a level 96 titled Douluo at his peak. As for whether he's at his peak now, well, it's hard to say. But at least, Chen Luo finally became a powerful titled Douluo, and he would not have to be vain when facing titled Douluo like Douluo in the future. After black curse woke up, his body did not change much. After all, he was both a beast and a human. His size did not increase as much as the dead soul beast, but there was still a gray aura lingering around him, which was that of Chen Luo's dead soul. As standard, the undead can be automatically retracted and retracted without affecting identity hiding. Of course, for images like Centaur Black Curse, it is generally better to stay in the necromantic space. Chen Luo's current undead space has 4 vacancies, 3 of which are occupied by 3 different dead soul beasts. The 3-year-old Hell Spider, the 2-year-old Earth King, and the 1-year-old Nightmare Centipede. Originally, there was still an empty seat for Guangzhongyang, but now Guangzhongyang can follow him outside, and this empty seat can be reserved for the Black Curse of the people. If Chen Luo encounters more powerful soul beasts in the future, he will also consider replacing soul beasts such as Nightmare Centipede and Earth King. The rule of survival of the fittest has always been adapted to most environments, and this is also true in the necromantic space. The emotion card cannot be played forever. If Chen Luo thought that the Nightmare Centipede's nightmare skills were useful before, now that he has the dark curse of the centaur who is better at creating nightmares, the value of the Nightmare Centipede's existence is very low. Keeping the Nightmare Centipede for so long was actually mostly out of love. Compared with the Dead Soul Beast, the Dead Soul Master is quite easy to arrange. Just follow it directly, which can save a lot of Dead Soul slots. If he wanted to take a move by surprise, the undead opening was obviously not enough, and this required Chen Luo's continuous efforts to improve his strength. After all, the number of undead slots is constantly opening as his strength grows, followed by the effect of the death suit. Compared with the latter, it is obviously more reliable to improve one's own strength. I don't know if it was because he was too easily satisfied, but after Chen Luo harvested the Black Curse, he felt that his trip had been completed. The Evil Soul Master's other treasures didn't seem to have much appeal to him. Of course, some pick it up. Why not pick it up? The more the merrier. In fact, Chen Luo wanted to take Dashu away as well, but after considering his own strength and Dashu's physique, he gave up the idea. After leaving the big tree, Chen Luo and others took a brief rest and immediately embarked on the treasure hunting journey again. Black Curse, you are a big brother living here. You should be very familiar with this place, right? Guangzhonggyang asked with a smile. Black Curse's deep voice sounded. I have been trapped in the tree and haven't come out for a long time. If I could sense the situation outside, I would have run away long before the master came here. Run? Where can you run? You said yourself that you are trapped in a tree. Guangzhonggyang said. The Black Curse said, that tree is not simple, it can disappear with me. With that said, Black Curse turned back, and so did Guangzhonggyang and the others. The giant tree they had just seen had disappeared. Well, this is the truth. Black Curse said. Guangzhonggyang smiled and nodded. It seems that you have been around for a long time. I have been an evil soul master for a long time, but I don't know you at all. Black Curse responded calmly. I have only existed for a few hundred years, and that tree has only existed for a long time. More than 100 years. Guangzhonggyang was a little surprised. Then when you were here, wasn't there an evil soul master yet? Duan Xiaoi couldn't help but said, there is no evil soul master. How did he come out? Please tell me, please think about it. Guangzhonggyang. Black Curse said, there was no such thing as an evil soul master before. Later, it was because they were too powerful, but not powerful enough. The only consequence of not being strong enough was to be suppressed, and suppressing requires a reason after all, and then it appeared. The title of evil soul master. You must know that good and evil have always been defined by humans. To be precise, they are defined by the strong. It is undeniable that evil soul masters, I mean most evil soul masters, are worthy of the title of evil soul master, otherwise I would not appear in this world. As an evil soul master, Guangzhonggyang nodded slightly in agreement. After leaving the big tree, everything here became calm. There was no longer a strong and pungent smell of blood in the air, and the shadows that could be seen at intervals also disappeared. Chen Luo and the others concentrated on treasure hunting, and also gained a lot. Not long after, they found many unknown medicinal herbs or poisonous weeds, as well as some broken parchments, but no soul guides or the like were seen again. The value of those medicinal herbs and poisonous weeds alone is immeasurable, and some of the evil soul master's words are also of great value. Unfortunately, the translator Guangzhonggyang is not good enough and it will take a long time to translate. Black Curse does know more than Guangzhonggyang, but he is not literate. It's almost done. Nothing is getting better here. Let's go find my brother. Guangzhonggyang said, it's really strange. I turned around and couldn't find my brother. I don't know how long they stayed in this paradise. Chen Luo and the others searched almost every corner and determined that there were no other treasures to discover here, so they prepared to leave. But someone has not returned to the team yet. It is Guangzhongfei. Guangzhongfei had already disappeared when Chen Luo and others entered the dark forest, and no one had been found yet. However, Chen Luo and the others didn't worry too much. They waited for a while and then searched for a while. When they didn't find it, they left here, assuming that Guangzhongfei had already left. This special world is indeed strange, but it is not enough to swallow up a title Douluo silently, not to mention that Chen Luo and the others dug almost 3 feet into the ground to find the treasure. Guangzhongfei must have gone out before them. Chapter 118 Collapse. I feel like this place doesn't look like an evil soul master's treasure trove at all. Instead, it looks like their garbage dump. There are useless things thrown everywhere and I haven't seen a single real treasure. It's too poor. Chen Luo and the others had now returned to the position where they fell, and when they looked up, they could see the crack above. Guangzhonggyang was complaining about the harvest of this trip, and he, the evil soul master, was actually complaining about the number of treasures hidden by the evil soul master. Duan Xiaoi said angrily, those special herbs are not worthy of the word treasure. Those are not counted. I am referring to things closely related to evil soul masters, such as the special soul tools used by evil soul masters, or the special techniques they practice and the special secret techniques they use. Guangzhonggyang said. When Duan Xiaoi heard this, he immediately looked at Guangzhonggyang with the eyes of a fool. We have picked up the soul guide, and we have also picked up information about the evil soul master's secret skills. The key is that a certain evil soul master actually saw. I don't understand. It's okay if I read it word by word, but it makes no sense when put together into one sentence. Guangzhonggyang was anxious. Those soul guides are all broken and cannot be used. How are they different from garbage? Those special formations are incomplete. How can I sort them out? Okay, quickly activate your martial soul avatar and take us out of here. Chen Luo said calmly. Guangzhonggyang nodded immediately. Okay. I have to say that Gong Zhongyang's flying sword is still very easy to use. In addition to being handsome, it is also very comfortable as a flying vehicle. After Gong Zhongyang activated his martial soul true form, the long black sword became extremely huge. It carried everyone on board and flew towards the crack, just like when it came. When everyone took their time and even looked back at the special world below, the cracks above were slowly closing. Fortunately, Chen Luo discovered it in time and asked Gong Zhongfei to speed up, so they were able to rush out before the last second. After rushing out of the crack, Chen Luo and his party came to a desolate world. I'm going, it's so dangerous, I almost can't get out. Gong Zhongyang controlled the black sword and lowered it steadily, breathing a long sigh of relief. Chen Luo looked at Duan Xiaoyu. Did anything like this happen when you left? No. Duan Xiaoyu immediately said, this is the place I came to before, and nothing changed when I left. Chen Luo glanced at the desolate world, nodded slightly, and then his eyes fell on Xiao. Turn on the martial spirit and sense it to see if there is Senior Gong Zhongfei's aura. Xiao? Okay, Master. Martial spirit, possessed. After Xiao activated his martial soul, most of his body was covered with stone, which raised his defense to a higher level, as did his strength. The most important thing is his terrifying sensing ability. In order to better sense everything here, Xiao lay directly on the ground, and the stones on his body were instantly connected to the ground. Master, let's retreat quickly. As soon as he lay down, Xiao immediately stood up and shouted with frightened eyes. While shouting, Xiao almost subconsciously leaned towards Chen Luo, wanting to use his body to protect Chen Luo. Chen Luo and others were a little surprised, but soon realized something was wrong, and they all ran towards the entrance of the cave, wanting to leave here directly. And just when they arrived at the entrance of the cave, a bloody light suddenly emerged from the ground, directly cutting a huge hole in the ground. Then a familiar figure flew out. It was Gong Zhongfei. After Gong Zhong flew up, he didn't stop at all, but rushed straight towards the entrance of the cave, while not forgetting to remind Chen Luo and the others. Go quickly, this place is going to collapse. Before Gong Zhongfei could finish his words, he had already arrived at Chen Luo's side. He grabbed Chen Luo and rushed out. He didn't even care about his brother's life or death, and didn't even look at him. Of course, Gong Zhongfei and the others are also capable of escaping. They were able to grow to this level without experiencing many lives and deaths. Even Duan Xiaoyu, the most savvy Contra, wandered between life and death several times. They were all very decisive and followed immediately without any hesitation. Gong Zhongfei's footsteps. Under the leadership of Gong Zhongfei, the group of people rushed out of the cave and left the desolate world. Then he swept into the channel and rushed towards the bottom of the lake quickly. The whole process can be described as a race against time. Their goal is to escape. There were no unnecessary movements, and everyone seemed extremely agile, without any sloppiness. After a while, they arrived at the entrance of the passage and rushed directly into the lake. The cold lake water hid him instantly, but Chen Luo had a blood-red protective layer attached to his body, completely isolating the lake water. Even at this moment, Gong Zhongfei did not let go of Chen Luo. He almost carried Chen Luo and rushed toward the top of the lake extremely quickly. Gong Zhongyang and others followed closely behind Gong Zhongfei, and they were also running desperately. It's impossible not to run. Even Gong Zhongfei, who is at the title Douluo level, can run very fast. Can they not panic? Can they not run? In just a few breaths, Gong Zhongfei and Chen Luo rushed out of the lake and headed further away. Gong Zhongfei's entire body, including Chen Luo's, was covered in blood-red mist, which seemed to make them move faster, like meteors, quickly moving away from the lake. Gong Zhongyang and the others also rushed out quickly. Gong Zhongfei saw that his brother was running so desperately, he panicked and immediately activated his martial spirit avatar, taking Duan Xiaoyu and the others to escape quickly. Almost at the same time that Gong Zhongyang, Duan Xiaoyu and others stood on the black sword and escaped, the entire lake sank directly. That's right, the entire lake, and then a large area of land around the lake, was rapidly cracking and sinking. It was as if an extremely huge gap appeared below, swallowing up everything above it crazily. The movement was extremely loud. Just a moment those things sank down produced an extremely terrifying sound, which was deafening enough to not even describe it. The most terrifying thing is that there seems to be an extremely terrifying section force within that huge range, which is still spreading and devouring everything around it. Fortunately, Guang's Huangfei and the others ran in time. If they had been slower for a second, they would have been swallowed up in an instant, and it would be useless even if they were flying in the sky. A few unlucky flying soul beasts just happened to pass by the sky above here, and they fell down like cannonballs in an instant, followed by a piece of soil, sand and gravel that sank into the ground 5,000 meters away from the lake. On a high mountain, Guang's Huangfei finally put Chen Luo down. He didn't speak, but looked into the distance. Chen Luo also looked into the distance, where dust was flying and rising into the sky where the lake was. When the dust settled, an extremely huge pit appeared at the center of the lake. Chapter 119 Skull Ring. It was an extremely spectacular scene. Everything within a kilometer radius collapsed, with a depth of more than 100 meters. Guangzhongyang and the others also followed at this time, and as soon as they landed, Guangzhongyang felt as if he was about to collapse. He ended his martial soul true form state, holding his knees with his hands and panting heavily. This horse riding was so exciting that I almost lost my life. I almost tried my best to escape the danger. Guang's Huangfei, who became an undead spirit, can use his martial soul avatar unlimitedly without worrying about the negative effects of using his martial soul avatar. However, his own soul power storage limits the time of his martial soul avatar. In the less than 5 minutes just now, Guangzhongyang had been desperately consuming his soul power in exchange for the speedy and others could move forward. You know, Guangzhongyang also brought Duan Xiao, Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao with him, which undoubtedly increased his load. He increased his speed to the extreme at almost any cost, and then he came here and headed once he entered a weak state while in the undead identity. The soul power of the dead soul master is not unlimited, but the recovery speed of soul power is extremely terrifying. In the situation just now, Guangzhongyang's soul power consumption has obviously been far greater than the recovery speed. Brother, you are a little too ruthless. After all, I am your biological brother. Although you are right to save my master. Guangzhongyang looked at Guangzhongfei and said with some resentment. Guangzhongfei said calmly, you are not worthy. Guangzhongyang. At this time, everyone's eyes fell on the extremely terrifying pit in the distance. If they hadn't run in time, no matter how strong they were, they would have been buried in the pit. What happened just now? Yu Yao murmured, with a look of lingering fear on his face. In fact, everyone present, including Chen Luo and Guangzhongfei, had lingering fears. Other than that, they had relaxed expressions of finally breathing a sigh of relief. Chen Luo's eyes moved away from the distant scene and fell on Guangzhongfei. Guangzhongfei seemed to have noticed Chen Luo's gaze, and took the initiative to speak without waiting for Chen Luo to ask. I chased something, finally caught it, got it, and that triggered the situation ahead. Guangzhongfei's eyes always stayed on the deep pit in the distance, but while speaking, he stretched out his right hand. Bloody light flashed, and then a dark skull ring appeared in Guangzhongyang's hand. The human head and skull are used as decorations, and they look extremely delicate. They are only about the size of a thumb, as if they are made of real human heads according to absolute proportions. There are many fine formations on the skull, which cannot be found unless you look carefully. But if you look closely, you will be extremely shocked by them. What a delicate technique it takes to leave so many patterns on such a small object. Even the ring is covered with formations. It looks a bit messy, but in fact it seems to be related to each other, as if countless formations are connected together to fix the skull seal on the ring. That's it, it almost got away. Guangzhongfei said calmly. Only then did he look away, and then fell on the human head and skull ring in his hand. Don't pretend to be dead, just say a few words. Guangzhongfei looked at the skull ring in his hand with indifferent eyes, his fingers slightly curled, and the bloody aura instantly rose, and he was about to attack the skull ring. I really don't want you to play like this. You always get anxious. An extremely strange voice sounded from the skull ring. The first half of this sentence was a young boy's voice, and the second half was an extremely old and hoarse voice. After hearing the sound of the skull ring, everyone seemed very calm. They were all people who had seen the world. This trick alone was not enough to shock them. But one person's face suddenly turned ugly. It was Duan Xiao. Duan Xiao looked at the skull ring in surprise and said with some disbelief, "It's you. Hey, little girl, I didn't expect you to be alive." Skull ring immediately greeted Duan Xiao and complained, I gave you so many good things, but you ran away in the end. It's not interesting. After all, you have stayed with me for decades, even if it is just a reward. Let's divide it. This time, the sound made by the skull ring was completely old and hoarse. It was this sound that gave Xiao countless nightmares, and it is still fresh in his memory even now. If she hadn't run decisively, she would have completely become a puppet by now. Chen Luo was also very familiar with the sound made by the skull ring, because he had seen Xiao's memories of the underground world, but after all, he saw it from a third perspective, so when he heard the sound again, he did not react like Xiao. So intense. Try to see if you can conquer it completely. Huangfei handed the skull ring directly to Chen Luo, as if it was originally prepared for Chen Luo. Chen Luo was not polite and took it directly, looking at the skull ring curiously. Conquer? How to conquer? Chen Luo knows that the skull ring is definitely not simple, but the key is that he really has no way of getting started with this little thing. He has revived corpses and special souls, but he has never used his ability on a special ring. Drop blood to recognize the Lord? It seems that it is not that simple. Use your usual method. Huangfei reminded. It is very special. It seems to have the special function of accommodating undead souls, and it can also store souls. I chased it and killed many undead souls, as well as special evil spirits. It seemed to be the core and master of that special world. Huangfei introduced briefly. With that said, Huangfei pointed at the skull ring, blood-colored breath flew out from his fingertips, and then controlled the skull ring. This will make it easier for you to move. Huangfei controlled the skull ring to float in front of Chen Luo, and then said calmly, I don't know if it can be done, but at least I have to try. I can't restrict it for too long. If you can't completely conquer it, then I will destroy it directly. Skull ring. If my master is still here, I will definitely cut you into pieces. The skull ring started to say harsh words, and it started to panic. And you, brat, I advise you to be honest and don't make stupid choices. I am stronger than you think. When the time comes, I will take your body away directly. Chen Luo, Senior, is there any way to shut up this thing? Huangfei flicked his other hand, and a small bloody sword appeared, then stayed straight in front of the skull ring. Skull ring. Chen Luo was not the kind of mother-in-law. He immediately activated his martial spirit. The death scythe appeared in his hand, and the shadow of death appeared in front of him, and then overlapped with him. I don't know if it was due to his improvement in strength, but Chen Luo found that the shadow of the god of death seemed to become clearer. If he could grow to a certain level, he might be able to fully see the appearance of the god of death. Chen Luo held the death scythe, prepared briefly, and then swung it towards the skull ring. However, before Chen Luo could take action, the skull ring ignored the threat of the bloody sword in front of him and directly let out an extremely excited and frightened cry. The voice of the skull ring was trembling, perhaps because of the excitement. The young voice and the old voice alternated so frequently that the voice was extremely weird. You, who the hell are you? Chapter 120 IN number 039, am waiting for you. Everyone looked at the skull ring in surprise. The other party's trembling voice didn't seem to be fake. The skull ring continued, the aura on your body is too familiar. No, that's not right. The aura on your body is thousands of times stronger than his. When the skull ring told you who you were, Chen Luo was still a little confused. He originally thought that the skull ring could see the shadow of the god of death on him. Now it seems that this is not the case. But the skull ring definitely noticed something. I am willing to surrender to you, come on, conquer me, I can't wait. He was still extremely scared just now, but now he is extremely excited, which can be heard from the sound of the skull ring. It became more and more exciting, almost crazy. Chen Luo glanced at the skull ring hesitantly, but without too much hesitation, he finally dropped the death scythe. What's going on recently? Why do people keep asking him to subdue him? It made him a little embarrassed. The skull ring is very special, and Chen Luo is not sure whether he can conquer it in this way. But Chen Luo was confident that he would never be endangered. Before each use of awakening, Chen Luo would weigh his own strength. Although he could not avoid danger 100%, at least he could detect the existence of danger. This was also considered a special sensing ability of his. While Chen Luo was taking action, Huangfei and others' eyes fell on Chen Luo, and they were surprised by Chen Luo's decisiveness. There was obviously something wrong with the skull ring, but Chen Luo still did it. Of course, everyone is very confident in Chen Luo's ability, so they are not particularly worried. The tip of the death scythe quickly touched the skull on the skull ring. Unlike Chen Luo's previous awakenings, the death scythe was not submerged in the skull ring, but the awakening was still successfully activated. The soul power in Chen Luo's body was quickly drained away, but the reaction was not as violent as Chen Luo imagined. The speed at which the soul power was being drained was not as fast as the speed at which Chen Luo's soul power was restored, but the process continued. This also means that the awakening is ongoing. This process lasted beyond Chen Luo's imagination. He had never been awake for such a long time. The situation in front of them also shocked Gong Zhongfei and others who were watching. You must know that Chen Luo's resurrection of Yu Yao, who was at the Soul Douluo level, only took a few minutes to complete, but it took such a long time to use that special ability on the skull ring in front of him? How scary does the skull ring have to be? In fact, it was Gong Zhongfei and the others who misunderstood. Only Chen Luo knew it very well. If his previous awakening process was equivalent to using a water pipe to pump the water in his pond into another pond, the water pipe would be extremely huge, and the force of pumping water would also be terrifying, so the efficiency would be very high. The current situation is still pumping water from his pond to another pond, but the water pipe has been reduced many times. Although the intensity of pumping water has not been reduced, the size of the water pipe still limits the efficiency of pumping water. Chen Luo didn't know why the water pipes became smaller. There must be a big reason for this because of the specialness of the skull ring. Maybe they could only construct such a special channel between them, or maybe all this was a trick played by the skull ring. An hour has passed. 2 hours have passed. It's getting dark. The sun rises again. It's a new cycle again. Gong Zhongfei and the others had been silently guarding Chen Luo. They were always paying attention to the changes in Chen Luo's aura. They saw that Chen Luo was fine and none of them were too nervous. It's just that they are more curious about the skull ring. It wasn't until noon on the third day that the awakening process ended. Chen Luo withdrew the death scythe, but he sat cross-legged on the ground and slowly closed his eyes. Gong Zhongfei and others thought that Chen Luo had exhausted too much and was recovering his soul power. In fact, this is not the case. Chen Luo has already entered the world of consciousness cold. It's so cold. It's like being in an ice cellar, immersing your whole body in ice water. This damn feeling again. Chen Luo opened his eyes, but everything in front of him was pitch black. A wave of coldness was constantly penetrating into his body, making him very uncomfortable. The awakening of the skull ring ended, but he was led here by a special force. It must be the skull ring responsible. Everything is within my expectations. Chen Luo knew that there was definitely some conspiracy behind the skull ring, but he still did it. He just wanted to see what tricks a small ring could do. Chen Luo could detect a strange and powerful aura attached to the skull ring. The reason why Chen Luo complied with the other party's wishes was because he wanted to see the person behind the skull ring. The skull ring itself can't do any tricks. It can at most serve as a media guide. It wants to use the person behind it to do something. Chen Luo waited silently for the person behind the skull ring to appear. He was sure that the person behind the skull ring had also come here, and it was precisely because of him that he appeared here. And Chen Luo could only choose to wait. Because he couldn't move, he seemed to be imprisoned in this darkness. This was somewhat beyond Chen Luo's expectations, but Chen Luo didn't panic at all. As time passed, Chen Luo's consciousness did not become blurred. Instead, it became clearer under the stimulation of the cold. Chen Luo felt like he was frozen into a big block of ice, and he was gradually becoming numb. The rider hasn't appeared yet? What are you waiting for? If you don't come out, I will go find you. Chen Luo began to feel impatient in his heart, and at this moment, a blood-red light suddenly appeared in the darkness in front of his eyes, and Chen Luo noticed it instantly. In this endless darkness, even a tiny bit of light is so conspicuous. Meeting the light in the darkness did not bring any sense of hope to Chen Luo. Instead, it made Chen Luo aware of the danger. Although he felt the danger, Chen Luo was still very excited inside. Because the person he was waiting for finally showed up. After the blood-red light appeared, it quickly approached Chen Luo. As the distance got closer, the light gradually enlarged, but it was not dazzling. After a while, the blood-red light came in front of Chen Luo, and Chen Luo was finally able to see the true face of the blood-red light. It was a person with blood-red light all over his body. The face couldn't be seen clearly, and even the body was blurry, but it was definitely a person. The consciousness hasn't dissipated yet? You are much stronger than I thought. The horse and magnetic man's voice suddenly sounded, with a hint of excitement. You are. Chen Luo wanted to speak, but couldn't. After seeing this strange existence in front of him and hearing what the other party said, Chen Luo's inner excitement became even stronger. Yes, excitement. Finally waited. No matter how excited you are, you still have to pretend to be scared, but you must not scare him away so easily. Chapter 121. This is Minecraft. I am the evil god by Chen. It should be 100 years later, otherwise it would not be able to wake me up. It really surprised me. It hates me so much, but it actually chose such a suitable body for me. The horse and magnetic voice sounded again, and the other party seemed to be able to hear Chen Luo's inner voice. But I only heard Chen Luo's voice and could not understand Chen Luo's true inner thoughts. This is a very special way of communication, and it does not mean that Bai Chen can directly see through Chen Luo's heart. Pick the right body, Chen Luo. Okay, I understand. This is preparing to seize the body. It's interesting. Seize the house. Bai Chen smiled calmly and said, this word is used very well. The thing you are talking about must be the skull ring, right? Are you its maker? Chen Luo asked. Bai Chen smiled, no, its maker has long been dead and was killed by it. I just imprisoned it and then gave it more powerful abilities. Then let it become your tool, right? Chen Luo asked. Bai Chen nodded unabashedly, this is the meaning of its existence. Chen Luo did not get too entangled in this topic, and then asked something else, are you an evil god, who claims to be, or are you really a god? God? Bai Chen smiled, it was almost. He actually said that I was not qualified. When I was about to take the last step, he put me back to the starting point. It's really pitiful. Chen Luo said with a smile. Bai Chen already noticed something was wrong at this time, and asked with some confusion, why aren't you afraid? Chen Luo smiled, why should I be afraid? You will die completely soon. Bai Chen reminded. Chen Luo burst out laughing, in my world, you told me that I was going to die soon. Who gave you the courage to step on the horse? What's going on? Bai Chen was suddenly stunned. He was not frightened by Chen Luo's words. Instead, he actually heard Chen Luo's voice. Not by sensing Chen Luo's heart, but by actually hearing it. At the same time, under the blood-red light of Bai Chen, a figure gradually emerged in the endless darkness. It was Chen Luo. It feels so good to break free. Chen Luo exclaimed. Bai Chen was in shock at this time. His voice was no longer calm and even trembling. How is this possible? I have clearly occupied this place. You can only wait for complete demise. How can you reappear? This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Chen Luo looked at his hands, then glanced at the dark surroundings, and finally returned his eyes to the blood-red light in front of Bai Chen. In this endless darkness, Bai Chen's light was too dazzling. Listening to what Bai Chen said, Chen Luo couldn't help but smile. Is my world something you can occupy? Everything you can do is what I asked you to do. You are so talented that you actually made me wait for so long. I almost lost my patience and went to find you directly, but luckily I held it in and didn't alert the enemy. The playful laughter gradually disappeared, and Chen Luo's voice became extremely calm at this moment. Bai Chen, who had been calm before, suddenly became panicked after being shocked. He has completely woken up. He naively thought that he was the leader here, but it turned out that it was just for the enjoyment of others. Without any unnecessary nonsense, Bai Chen immediately started to run away. The blood-red light instantly gathered into a ball, and Bai Chen's figure was wrapped in it, eventually turning into a blood-red bead the size of a fist, and escaped at an extremely fast speed. Since you're here, let's stay. Chen Luo smiled lightly, stretched out his right hand, and shook it out of thin air. The blood-red beads, which had fled far away, suddenly stopped. Without waiting for Chen Luo's next move, the blood-red beads instantly burst into intense light, lighting up a large area of darkness. I saw a huge ice hand holding the blood-red bead tightly. The posture was the same as Chen Luo's right hand, but it was magnified hundreds of times. Except for this huge ice hand, everything here is covered with ice. It's like an ice world. While the blood-red beads were blooming with strong light, they were also emitting terrifying high temperatures. The huge ice hand was quickly dissolved into a hole, and the blood-red beads continued to escape without any hesitation. Why do you still want to escape from my body? Chen Luo sneered and then snapped his fingers. The blood-red bead that had just escaped from the giant ice hand was once again controlled, held tightly by the same giant ice hand. Immediately afterwards, countless larger ice hands wrapped up. The blood-red beads once again bloomed with intense light, making their final struggle. Wrapped by countless layers of huge ice hands, no matter what kind of struggle it was, it seemed very weak. Chen Luo silently admired this scene until the light of the blood-red beads gradually faded. After a while, an icy hand about the same size as Chen Luo's right hand held a blood-red bead and presented it to Chen Luo. At this time, the blood-red bead had become the size of a thumb, emitting a faint light. That's it, I thought it was so awesome. Tisk, tisk, suddenly it feels a little boring. Chen Luo picked up the blood-red bead and took one last look, then put it directly into his mouth and swallowed it. You are the most precious treasure I got from the evil soul master's treasure. What a pure soul, even if you only have every trace is so powerful and full of desirable power. After the blood-red bead was eaten by Chen Luo's body underwent tremendous changes instantly. I saw that Chen Luo's whole body was covered in blood red, especially his abdomen, which was like a blazing fire, erupting with terrifying high temperatures. Chen Luo's expression was very calm, even a little enjoying. This phenomenon did not last long and subsided quickly. Chen Luo finally returned to his original appearance. He licked his lips and said with some lingering thoughts, "It felt so warm, but it only lasted a while." Patting his belly gently, a coldness suddenly appeared on Chen Luo's face. "You actually want to play dirty with me without even looking at whose body you are in? Why?" I reluctantly accepted everything you had. Behind Chen Luo, a huge shadow hung. He was holding an extremely huge sickle, and in the other hand was a blood-red light shadow, which he threw directly into his mouth. Everything returned to calmness, and Chen Luo was in a good mood. He paused in the dark world for a moment, and finally couldn't help but smile and said, "Is this the world that belongs to me? I have to thank the evil god for allowing me to come here. I hope he will be smarter in his next life and stop doing such stupid things." "Oh, he has no next life?" Chen Luo stretched out. "There is too much energy in the body. Let's have a good sleep first to digest part of it, and then slowly absorb the rest later." Then, Chen Luo fell backwards and disappeared into the darkness. Chapter 122. Chen Luo had always maintained his cultivation posture, while Gong's Hongfei and others were waiting silently beside him. As for the skull ring, it disappeared after Chen Luo finished waking up. It must have been taken away by Chen Luo. Chen Luo's cultivation time was much longer than Gong's Hongfei and the others expected. They could all clearly feel that Chen Luo's aura was constantly improving. This was undoubtedly an extremely important opportunity for Chen Luo. Although their group was still in the dark forest, they didn't have to worry about any dangers or accidents. The ones guarding Chen Luo were at least soul saints, and the most powerful were titled Douluo. It was really difficult for such a bodyguard lineup to encounter danger in the forest of such small soul beasts. In other words, Chen Luo put the black curse into the necromantic space, otherwise it would be safer. Chen Luo is in a state of cultivation, and the backbone here is Gong's Hongfei. Gong's Hongfei is the strongest, and how he treats Chen Luo can be seen by all the undead. When he is in danger, he doesn't even want his own brother, and just takes Chen Luo away. Under Gong's Hongfei's arrangement, all the undead spirits guarded Chen Luo. They are all undead anyway and do not need to eat, drink or rest. As for Gong's Hongfei himself, he seems to be much freer, but he only moves around the dark night forest, and is basically around Chen Luo. While Liang Hao was worried that his master would be exposed to wind and rain, so he thoughtfully built a stone house in a large area around him. The stone house is very large, covering almost the entire top of the mountain. Although it is ugly in shape, it is completely functional. During the process of building the stone house, while Liang Hao was also worried that he would affect Chen Luo, so he built walls as far away as possible. During this period, he also asked Gong's Hongfei to block those movements. Chen Luo's cultivation lasted half a year. Even if he didn't eat or drink for half a year, Chen Luo's body was not greatly affected. With soul power as energy supplement, it doesn't matter even if Chen Luo practices for another half year. When Chen Luo ended his cultivation state, he didn't make any big noise, just like ordinary cultivation ended. Level 49. In just half a year, Chen Luo's soul power level increased several levels, and he was already close to the Soul King level. Chen Luo was not surprised by this, everything was within his expectation. It's just that Chen Luo never thought that he would practice for such a long time. He originally thought that he would only practice for 10 days and a half, but it turned out that half a year passed in a flash. Thank you for your hard work in the past half year. The first thing Chen Luo saw after finishing his training was his undead souls. They seemed to be sensing them and were waiting in front of Chen Luo early. After a brief greeting, Chen Luo stretched, his bones crackling, and then stood up. Looking at the huge stone house he was in, Chen Luo couldn't help but smile and said in his heart, "It seems that you don't have to worry about accommodation in the future." While Liang Heo's 3-bedroom and 1 living soul skill is very useful. After walking out of the stone house and breathing in the fresh air, Chen Luo felt extremely comfortable. He looked into the distance and began to review what happened half a year ago. Chen Luo could vividly remember the entire process of awakening the skull ring, and what he experienced after that felt like it happened yesterday. There is an extremely powerful soul stored in the skull ring. Even if it is incomplete, it does not affect his power. That incomplete soul is the evil god Bai Chen. Of course Bai Chen cannot be a god, but he is also a limit Douluo that is infinitely close to God. Evil God is what he calls himself, and it is also what his followers call him. His followers are evil soul masters. In the following years, the inheritance of the evil soul masters was affected, so much so that the evil soul masters did not even understand Bai Chen, the founder. This can be seen from Guangzhonggang. The skull ring is Bai Chen's treasure. When Bai Chen died, he sealed part of his soul in the skull ring, waiting for the day of rebirth. The skull ring is also spiritual. It has no favorable impression of its owner Bai Chen, on the contrary, it hates it extremely. It hates it so much that it can bury itself deep in the ground, and is unwilling to give Bai Chen a chance to be reborn. The decline of the evil soul master organization is probably also related to the skull ring. The reason why the skull ring changed its mind was because it felt a similar aura to Bai Chen's on Chen Luo's body, and that aura was more powerful, which made it hate it to the extreme and went crazy. It wanted to destroy everything. It deliberately accepted Chen Luo's awakening, and then released Bai Chen's incomplete soul, in order to use Chen Luo's hands to destroy Bai Chen, or to use Bai Chen to destroy Chen Luo. No matter which side is the winner, the final result is not much better. But Skull Ring never expected that the strength of the two was so disparate that they were not even on the same level. Chen Luo had already noticed everything during the process of awakening the Skull Ring, and he had absolute confidence to deal with Bai Chen. Facts, 2. After entering Chen Luo's conscious world, Bai Chen was like an ant and could only be played by Chen Luo. In the end, it became the nourishment that helped Chen Luo improve his strength. In Chen Luo's world, Chen Luo is the absolute master. If it were outside the world, Chen Luo might not directly swallow Bai Chen's soul, because the risk he would face would be too great. The soul of an ultimate Douluo, even if it is incomplete, still contains extremely terrifying energy, and the soul of an ultimate Douluo is also extremely powerful. It is impossible to swallow it easily, and you have to face many problems. But in the world, all problems are irrelevant. Bai Chen's consciousness was completely erased, and his incomplete soul became the purest energy body. Worried about having too much energy and bursting yourself? It doesn't matter, absorb part of it first, store the rest, and absorb it slowly later. Worried about overthrowing efforts and affecting future development? This is even more of a trivial matter. Since it is absorbed, of course it must be absorbed in the most robust way. If the absorption time is long enough, this problem can be easily solved. All impossible things can be done here. After that, there was a situation where Chen Luo directly practiced for half a year. Chen Luo spent so much time absorbing even a part of Bai Chen's incomplete soul, and a lot of energy was stored by him in a special way. These will become a stepping stone for Chen Luo to improve his strength. Chen Luo opened his hand, and a skull ring appeared in his hand. Master, Anan is honored to be your slave. The skull ring made a sound, and there was no trace of old sound mixed in. It was completely a childish boy's voice. This may be the most original sound of the skull ring. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me regain my life, Anan said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Homecoming. Anan is a special spirit body that was created in an extremely cruel way and has been imprisoned in a skull ring. Anan, who has experienced too much pain, wanted to give himself complete relief many years ago, but he couldn't. He could do nothing but become a tool. After Chen Luo used the awakening on the skull ring, the real subject of the skull ring, Anan, was of course awakened. Although he couldn't really wake up, he successfully washed away all the pain. The most powerful part of awakening may not be resurrecting dead objects, but that it can completely let go of the dead objects and the past without any reason or reason. Anan, who had been burdened with countless pains, finally let go of the pain because of his awakening. This is why he thanked Chen Luo. Because of Anan's own special characteristics, even after awakening, he will not occupy the space of the dead. And Anan himself is a special undead space. Although it is not as powerful as the undead space in the death bracelet, it can still store many undead and special evil spirits. You are the biggest gain of my trip. A faint smile appeared on Chen Luo's face. Anan responded immediately, it's an honor for Anan to be the master's slave. Chen Luo took the skull ring in front of his eyes and observed it carefully, and then said, I will try to completely rescue you from this in the future, but I can't guarantee that I can definitely do it. I will try. Anan's voice suddenly became excited, I believe master, you can definitely do it. Anan is looking forward to that day. Chen Luo shook his hand, and the skull ring returned to the storage space of the death bracelet. He began to review everything he had experienced since leaving Shrek Academy, and made a brief summary. After leaving Shrek Academy, I first went to the city of killing, successfully obtained the title of God of Death, harvested the God of Killing domain, completed the system's tasks, and obtained the Boots of Death. In addition to the harvest of the Killing God domain and the Death God's boots, I also harvested 2 undead spirits, Xiao and Xiao. The former is Soul Douluo and the latter is Soul Saint. They are both very powerful. The most important thing is to get acquainted with each other. Gongzhongyang's biological brother is Gongzhongfei, a powerful title Douluo who also possesses the realm of the God of Death. Then I learned about the evil soul master's treasure through Gongzhongyang, and came here to look for the treasure. On the way to find the treasure, Duan Xiao, who is at the Contra level, can be regarded as half an evil soul master. Under the leadership of Duan Xiao, I went to the evil soul master's treasure spot, experienced a series of things, and harvested many treasures. Thousand-handed magic vines, special herbs and poisonous weeds, special soul guides once used by evil soul masters, although they are broken, swallowing black shadows, improving strength, harvesting black curses, becoming a special existence with the combat power of a title Douluo. The biggest gain is the skull ring. To be precise, it is the incomplete soul of ultimate Douluo hidden in the skull ring. It is the most direct help to greatly improve my strength, and I can enjoy it for a long time in the future to the benefits of it. In addition to the improvement in strength, there are also some memories from Extreme Douluo. The memories record in extremely detail the various powerful formations of the evil soul master and some powerful special soul skills. These are the real treasures. Soul hunters generally cannot directly obtain the target's abilities and skills, but they can learn from others by consulting their memories. In most cases, other people have no experience at all except their own martial arts. How many people can create their own soul skills? If it is the soul skills carried by their own soul rings, they cannot learn or use them. The powerful formations and special soul skills of the evil soul master are priceless treasures. Unless they are powerful to a certain level, they cannot keep these things. It's time to go back. The Senior Soul Master Elite competition should have started, right? Chen Luo left Shrek Academy with the purpose of making himself stronger. The original plan was to go back in half a year, but now it has been almost a year since I left. Just going to the Killing City takes a lot of time. Searching, traveling and living in the Killing City all take time. I also spent a lot of time at the Evil Soul Master's treasure spot, and then I directly practiced for half a year. Of course, the harvest that came out completely exceeded expectations. The realm of the God of Death, the boots of the God of Death, Xiao at the Contra level, Xiao at the Soul Saint level, Contra level Duan Xiao, thousand-handed demon vine, many special herbs, title Douluo level black curses, and skull rings. There is also a huge improvement in strength. He was only at level, when he came out, and now he is almost at level, Not to mention 1 year, even 2 or 3 years to reach level, is terrifying, even if Chen Luo's strength is not improved at a rate that ordinary people can match of. These are all real gains, and there is another gain that cannot be completely determined, and that is Gong's Hongfei at the title Douluo level. Chen Luo originally only planned to come out to obtain the killing god domain and complete system tasks, but he never expected that he would take off directly. Although I am not invincible now, I have a certain ability to protect myself. At least I have the qualifications to stand in front of Xiao Wu when she faces real danger. Chen Luo said that he should protect Xiao Wu, and it was not just words. He has been working hard for it, wanting to be as prepared as possible before danger arrives. If you don't work hard when you have time, it will be too late if you try hard again when it's time to work hard. He didn't want to experience the feeling of separation and death. Returning to the stone house again, Chen Luo's undead souls were very sensible and had been waiting silently inside. At this time Gong's Hongfei had come back, his eyes glanced at Chen Luo with some surprise, and then he regained his composure. "What are your plans next?" Gong's Hongfei asked. Chen Luo said, "Go back." "Okay, I still have some things to deal with. I'll come find you then." Gong's Hongfei said. "It's a pity that I can't go with you." Chen Luo could hear the meaning of Gong's Hongfei's words. Gong's Hongfei forced an ugly smile on his scarred face. "It's indeed a pity. Actually, it's not a big deal. I will handle it soon." Chen Luo nodded slightly, and then said, "Do you know where I am?" "I know. Guang's Hongyang told me that even if you leave Xiandao City, I can still find you." Guang's Hongfei said. "No more nonsense. I hope we can meet again soon. We are all people who want to leave, so I will take the first step." Guang's Hongfei was still so direct and decisive, a proper action man. Before he could finish his words, he turned into bloody mist and left. Chen Luo looked at his undead souls. "Let's go. It's time for us to go back." "Yes, master." All the undead said in unison. Chapter 124 Departure, Wuhan City. Boom. Feng Zai Ocean, whose wings were broken off, fell heavily to the ground and slid for more than 10 meters before he came to a stop, leaving a trail of blood on the ground. Feng Zai Ocean failed after all. He got up with some difficulty. Covered in blood, he looked extremely miserable and ferocious. His eyes were full of shock and a little lonely, and he looked straight at Tang San. Twin martial souls. Feng Zai Ocean coughed twice violently, spit out a large mouthful of blood, and asked with some difficulty, "What's that hammer?" "The hammer is named Aocean." Tang San was falling into weakness due to excessive exertion, but it was obvious that his condition was much better than Feng Zai Ocean. "How, he." Cough cough cough. After Feng Zai Ocean heard the words, he couldn't help laughing, and then he coughed violently again, with blood foam flying. This time, he didn't vomit blood again. "It seems I didn't lose unjustly." A complex smile appeared on Feng Zai Ocean's face, showing relief, loneliness, and unwillingness. A smile also appeared on Tang San's face. It didn't mean much, it was just respect for his opponent. "You are also very strong, but you are just unlucky. Your self-created soul skills happen to be restrained by me. Otherwise, it's hard to say what the final outcome of the game will be." "Oh, why do I feel even more uncomfortable after being praised by you?" Feng Zai Ocean said. "Tang San, go and rest quickly, look forward to our next battle, and don't forget your previous bet." "Don't worry, Feng Zai Ocean, always do what I say." The game ended and Tang San won. Soon, the news came out that Shenfeng Academy had surrendered, and Feng Zai Ocean fulfilled his promise. The opponent in the last game of Shrek Academy also knew that he was defeated and chose to give up. The game of Shrek Academy ended successfully. 14 games in the promotion competition, 14 consecutive victories. Among all 15 teams, Shrek Academy ranked first, winning the best ranking in the Xiandao Empire division. Shrek Academy dorm room. Xiao Wu, is there still no news about Chen Luo? In 3 days we will leave for Wuhan City to participate in the finals of the Continental Senior Soul Master Elite Competition. Liu Erlong said. During Chen Luo's absence, Liu Erlong would often come to visit Xiao Wu. The two had similar personalities and had a good relationship. Xiao Wu shook her head slightly, feeling a little lonely. "No. It's been almost a year since this kid left the academy, and there's actually no news at all." "It's true. Don't you know that my Xiao misses him day and night?" Liu Erlong sighed. Xiao Wu's pretty face blushed slightly, but she didn't say anything. She just looked forward, wondering what she was thinking. "You don't have to worry too much. He is very strong, and with his cautious character, it is difficult for him to encounter danger." Even if he encounters danger, he can easily solve it. I guess he encountered some strange encounter, so he delayed his return. In fact, his absence was not as exaggerated as a year. Maybe he will come back after a while. Liu Erlong comforted, we are going to the finals soon. Don't be distracted by this matter. You didn't perform very well in the last few games. I believe that kid doesn't want to see you like this. You look so absent-minded, he probably wants to see you standing on the podium with a smile on your face. Ah. Xiao Wu nodded slightly and looked at the starry sky outside the window. Seeing that his words didn't have much effect, Liu Erlong couldn't help laughing and said, okay, I'll go back first. You should have a rest early. You have been quite tired from participating in competitions recently. In the next 3 days, you don't need to practice too hard here, just rest more. Well, I will. Xiao Wu smiled and said, not showing any happiness at all, just responding politely. Liu Erlong left. Xiao Wu came to the window and continued to look at the starry sky, but what flashed through her mind was Chen Luo's figure. Brother Chen Luo, Xiao Wu misses you. Then, a woman's figure suddenly flashed in Xiao Wu's mind. Xiao Wu's face suddenly turned ugly, and she almost whispered through gritted teeth, we are going to meet again soon. I don't know if you still remember me. One day I will kill you. 3 days later. Zhu King, the crown prince of the Heaven Dao Empire, served as the messenger of the Heaven Dao Empire, and together with the 15 elite teams of the Heaven Dao Empire, set out for Wuhan City at the junction of the two empires to participate in the finals of the continent-wide Soul Master Elite competition. In order to allow the participating team members to have a better rest, the Xiandao Empire spent a huge amount of money to build a total of 15 luxurious giant carriages, specifically for the participating team members to ride and rest. In addition, the escort team is naturally indispensable. 500 soldiers of the Royal Knights are specially escorted. Although their role is not great, each college will be accompanied by powerful teachers. Even if they are in danger, how can they be used? These soldiers are here to protect, but their strength is only suitable for use as cannon fodder. Even so, the seemingly luxurious configurations still have to be arranged. On Shrek Academy's exclusive carriage, everyone in Shrek gathered together and were discussing Chen Luo's matter. Even though Chen Luo has been away for nearly a year, the topic of Chen Luo has never stopped in Shrek Academy. The Shrek 7 Devils are more familiar with Chen Luo, and they will talk about Chen Luo whenever they get together. The Shrek 7 monsters are very famous in Shrek Academy, but as long as they are students or teachers of Shrek Academy, they all know the existence of Chen Luo. He is the real monster in Shrek Academy. Most people have seen Chen Luo duel with Xiao Wuji and Liu Erlong. Those scenes have almost been engraved in their memories and can never be erased. I wonder how Chen Luo is doing now and when he will come back. I really want to know his current soul power level. I feel that I have become a little inflated recently. Ma Hongjin said. Dai Mubei smiled, don't worry, he is definitely better than us. Boss Dai, why don't you say it so directly? I finally had the feeling of catching up with Chen Luo. When you say this, that thought is gone again. Ma Hongjin sighed. Xiao Wu, is there still no news about Chen Luo? Ninrongrong asked quietly in Xiao Wu's ear. Xiao Wu shook her head gently and smiled helplessly, no. Okay, you don't have to think too much. Ninrongrong comforted her softly. Xiao Wu nodded, she was used to everyone's concern. Sometimes Xiao Wu even felt that everyone cared more about Chen Luo than she did. They would ask for news about Chen Luo almost every day, and would comfort her if there was no result. She took the trouble so much that she was completely used to it. During the time when I was on the road, the atmosphere in Shrek Academy was relatively relaxed and comfortable. I chatted every day or practiced separately. It was not as tense as other academies. Other colleges are now constantly discussing how to arrange the next competition, trying to improve their team's ranking as much as possible. After going through the selection of the continent-wide Soul Master Elite competition, the levels of the Shrek 7 monsters have now improved. After all, they have experienced so many battles. While challenging themselves, they are also improving themselves. Currently, the levels of the Shrek 7 monsters are Evil-Eyed White Tiger Daimubei level 45, Sausage Monopoly Oscar level 42, Thousand-Handed Tang San level 43, Evil Fire Phoenix Ma Hongjin level 42, and Soft Bone Charming Rabbit Xiao Wu level 43. 9 Treasure Glazed Ning Rongrong is level 42, Nether Civet Zuz Huking is level 42. There is also Chen Luo who has not yet returned to the team. Reaper of Souls, Level 49. Chapter 125. Accidents Heaven Dao City. Shrek Academy. When Chen Luo returned to Shrek Academy, he didn't see those familiar people. After asking someone randomly, I found out that a few days ago, the Shrek Academy team had set off with a Xiandao competition area to Wuhan City, the final venue of the Soul Master Elite competition. In fact, on the way back, Chen Luo had already expected it. When he left Shrek Academy, the Shrek 7 Devils were all practicing in seclusion. At that time, it was still about half a year before the start of the Soul Master Elite competition. It has been nearly a year since he came back now, and the competition started and went on for some time. Very normal. He just came back to have a look with a lucky mentality, and it was also on the way. After leaving Shrek Academy, Chen Luo came to a tea house near Shrek Academy. In the corner of the tea house, Guangzhongyang and others were tasting snacks and drinking tea. Seeing Chen Luo coming over, they immediately stood up. "Lord, boss." Chen Luo waved his hand gently. "Let's go." "Yes." Chen Luo took out a gold coin and placed it on the counter, looking very generous. Duan Xiao took the gold coin back and replaced it with a silver coin. "Boss, it's just for tea. How can we spend so much money? 1 silver coin is enough for us to drink for several days." When the tea house owner saw the gold coins, his eyes widened. After seeing Duan Xiao exchange money for a while, his face fell instantly, but he didn't have any temper. Anyone who is not a top-notch Ma Dao can see that the group of people in front of them are not simple, especially the young man called the boss, who just came out of the Soul Master Academy. How could they know that, except for Chen Luo, Duan Xiao and others were all undead. Chen Luo is actually the weakest among them, but there is no doubt about his identity as the boss. As long as Duan Xiao and the others restrain the gray aura on their bodies, they will almost look like ordinary people. However, the color of their eyes is slightly different, which can be concealed by using a little soul power. They were all people from many years ago, and they were all extremely vicious people. They had many enemies, but they were probably all dead, and they had almost no friends, otherwise they would not have ended up in various miserable endings. Guangzhongyang died because of his identity as an evil soul master. Guangzhongyang and Wei Lianghao were killed by Chen Luo himself in the killing capital. Duan Xiao was originally just passing by chance, so she was relatively unlucky, but she had been infected with the evil spirit master's aura, and she also did a lot of bad things, and was finally killed by Gongzhongfei with a sword. There is no need to worry that they will be recognized. Even if they are recognized, it doesn't matter. Chen Luo originally planned to prepare a mask for each of them, but in the end he gave up the idea and gave them a chance to be human again. The Dead Soul Master is relatively easy to follow, and it is difficult for people to detect abnormalities. The Dead Soul Beast can only stay in the dead space. If the Hell Spider is released for a ride, it will be quite cool, but it is probably useless. You will be beaten by a group of people in 1 minute. Chen Luo watched Duan Xiao's money exchange process. He just smiled and said nothing more. With more people around, the expenses are actually quite high, so it's good to have an accountant around. No matter how powerful a person is, he still has to live, and to live, he needs money. Of course, money is not a problem for Chen Luo, but this does not affect the feeling of saving money. If you really treat money as a number, life will be much less fun. After Chen Luo and his party left the tea house, they left Xiandao City directly and chased the Xiandao Empire's Soul Master team in the direction of Wuhan City. Starting from Xiandao City to Wuhan City, it takes almost 20 days. Chen Luo was confident that he could catch up with them within these 20 days, even though they had already left several days in advance. Not long after Chen Luo and the others left Xiandao City, a tall and strong figure came to the tea house they had visited before. "Chen Luo, that kid didn't even bother to see me when he came back. He actually left again." The person who came was none other than Zhao Wuji, and behind him was a Shrek Academy student in his early 20s. Zhao Wuji looked back at the students and asked, "Are you sure Chen Luo is back?" "Sure." The student nodded vigorously. "He even asked me for directions." Zhao Wuji threw his hands away angrily. "This brat, I wonder if teacher Xiao misses him so much? Wait until he comes back, and then teach him a lesson. Whether I can still fight or not is still a question." There is a trail between the two mountains. Although the trail is small, it can still accommodate a huge carriage. The Xiandao Empire's Soul Master team is currently moving forward on this trail. This is a shortcut to Wuhan City. If you have to walk dozens of kilometers more by taking the main road, the shortcut will undoubtedly save a lot of time. And taking the shortcut will definitely involve risks. If someone attacks them here, they will fall into absolute passivity. But it's hard for something like this to happen, and even if it does, it doesn't matter. Even though there are only a few thousand people here, there is nothing to be afraid of even facing a team of thousands of people. They were all soul masters, and no one would be stupid enough to attack so many soul masters. How much power would have to be used? Even the two empires could not mobilize such terrifying power at one time. But no one expected that someone would really dare to attack them here, and the posture showed that they were well prepared. First came the rolling stones that fell from the mountain, but these rolling stones were completely unable to harm the Soul Master team. The Royal Knights alone could easily deal with them. After the rolling stone, there were thousands of men in black. Their goal was very clear, which was the team of Soul Masters on the path. The men in black rushed toward the Soul Masters below at extremely fast speeds. Those who can come here are not rubbish. They are all elite Soul Masters who have been carefully selected. Even in the face of sudden dangers, they do not panic at all. They activate their martial souls immediately and prepare for battle. All of a sudden, various dazzling lights began to appear on the Soul Masters. Various martial souls were released and soul rings shone, creating an extremely dazzling scene between the two mountains. The battle is imminent. If they fight alone, those people in black are definitely no match for the elite Soul Masters. But they are all extremely cunning. Like a well-trained team, they take advantage of their numbers to the extreme. Basically, 2 or 3 people attack a Soul Master together. They all play in a life-threatening way, which makes the elite Soul Masters miserable. The fighting qualities of the people in black are obviously much stronger than ordinary people, and many of them are also Soul Masters, and among them there are 30 Soul Masters above level, as leaders. This kind of battle makes people almost despair. Of course, in the elite Soul Master team, there are not only students, but also teachers who accompany them. The strength of the students is limited, but the strength of the teachers is not that simple. Among them, Shrek Academy has a relatively luxurious lineup, with 1 Soul Saint and 1 Contra. Flanders and Liu Erlong can relieve everyone of a lot of pressure. The Soul King makes the students extremely afraid, but when they come in front of them, they can only be beaten violently. But the good times didn't last long, and 3 strong men suddenly appeared among the men in black. 1 Soul Douluo and 2 Soul Saints came straight to Shrek's team. Soon, the 2 Soul Saints were fighting with Flanders and Liu Erlong respectively. That Contra headed towards the Shrek 7 Devils. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.